of tensions in the Middle East. Part of that call was to ensure that this conflict that we've seen in Gaza does not extend to the rest of the region. And so one of Canada's priorities for this G7 is the strengthening of peace and stability, where we're going to align with position insofar as calling for a peaceful resolution of all conflicts. Russia and Ukraine, India and Pakistan, Iran and Israel now, we will continue making that call that those conflicts have to stop.
Togo has suspended broadcasts of French state-funded international news outlets, the RFI and France 24, for 3 months, accusing them of a lack of impartiality and strictness. The suspension comes as tensions are rising between the country's leader, Faure Gnassingbé, and the opposition. Two opposition parties, the Democratic Forces for the Republic and the National Alliance for Change, called the move a constitutional coup that would extend his rules for life. RFI and France 24 have been covering opposition protests against the new constitution that created his new role. In a joint statement, both outlets reaffirmed their commitment to journalistic principles and said that their management was willing to clear up any misunderstanding with the authority. The Civil Defense Agency in Gaza says that Israeli forces have killed at least 47 people gathered near an aid site near Khan Yunis. More than 200 are said to be wounded. Eyewitnesses and a journalist told the BBC that Israeli drones fired 2 missiles, then an Israeli tank blasted a shell several hundred meters from a crowd waiting for food. The military hasn't yet commented. The BBC's Sebastian Asher reports.
This could be the deadliest incident so far in the almost daily shootings that are taking place near aid distribution sites in Gaza. Witnesses say that Israeli forces opened fire and shelled an area near a junction to the east of the southern city of Khan Yunis, where thousands of Palestinians have been gathering in the hope of getting flour from a WFP site. At the Nasser hospital, it's so overcrowded that the many wounded are lying on the floor as medical staff treat their injuries. On Monday, the UN Human Rights Chief Volker Turk said that Israel was weaponizing food and called for an investigation into the shootings near aid sites.
For any news stories you would like to share with us, please do send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I am Nolutando Buthelezi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Well, it is 7 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Good afternoon. Hello. Welcome to The Upside on Channel Africa, the African Perspective with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, with you all the way to 4 p.m. Central African Time. And we're coming to you live from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. Rather sunny Johannesburg, South Africa this afternoon. Stream us live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, so you can see our lovely studios, the presenters, and at Channel Africa on YouTube as well. Let me know where you are tuned in from this Tuesday afternoon, anywhere around the world, on the WhatsApp line +2763 406 9126. And as always, you can download the SABC Plus app on your Android or iOS store so that you can listen to us and take us with you wherever you go. Coming up on the show this afternoon, we talk about the difference between being dehydrated and being dry in terms of your skin. Dry skin or dehydrated skin. Apparently there's a difference. I didn't know this. We're going to be talking to Karen Bester from Lamel, who will break down the real difference between dry and dehydrated skin, especially now in winter. And then we're joined by South African Tourism's Abby Jacobs to celebrate their Global Film Award win and unpack how real storytelling is bringing travelers to all 9 provinces in South Africa. And then finally, we hear from Murendeni Nefali, a literacy advocate using books to change lives and open futures. That's all coming up on the show. On this day in African history, it was in 1958, if I'm not mistaken, where the debut of Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart was published, marking a turning point in African literature. The novel told the story of Okonkwo and the impact of colonialism on Igbo society, offering an authentic African voice in global storytelling. Today it remains a literacy classic studied worldwide. It's 10 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome to The Upside.
June is Youth Month in South Africa. Celebrate Africa's young voices with us. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
Révérend Dr Alain.
Je suis content, très heureux d'être de la partie ce soir et bonjour à tous nos auditeurs.
Je rappelle que pour les intimes, il vous appelle bien sûr BMB. Aujourd'hui, nous parlons courage sur Mix Vibration. Comment définissez-vous le terme courageux?
Ça vient du latin cor, qui veut tout simplement exprimer la bravoure, la force de l'âme ou encore la virilité, le héroïsme que quelqu'un peut avoir en face de difficultés, en face de problèmes, en face de défis.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel. Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the Upside.
How you feeling good?
Lookaboo, getting in-depth, powerful stories, and the perspective you won't hear anywhere else. The Upside, 1 till 4. Live and real, African run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices. English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent. African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices. English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally
40
accessible.
minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. I am Pama with Free there. Welcome to The Upside. If you've just joined us, with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, with you all the way to 4 p.m. Central African Time. Thank you so much for choosing Channel Africa this afternoon for the African perspective. We are currently in winter, and you may have noticed your skin reacting a bit differently compared to the other seasons of the year. As the winter chill sets in, your skin might be sending out an SOS. But are you listening to the right signal? Many of us confuse dry skin with dehydrated skin. I didn't know there was a difference personally, but knowing the difference could transform your skincare routine. Today we are joined by Karen Bester from Lamel Research Laboratories, joining us to break it all down, from why your favorite rich cream might not be enough to what your skin really needs to bounce back this winter season. Karen, thank you so much for your time and welcome to The Upside.
Thank you, Tebogo. Thank you for having me on your show.
Let's start with the basics. I didn't know there was a difference between dry skin and dehydrated skin. What does that actually mean?
So when a skincare therapist analyzes your skin, they're going to look if it's dry or dehydrated. Now, dry skin means that your skin needs oils or lipids.
Okay.
And dehydrated skin means that it needs a little bit more water. So the ingredient you use will be slightly different. To us as product users, it's not that critical because they are so interrelated. So the thing is, if your skin doesn't have the lipids that it needs, it's definitely going to lose water. So you will have a little bit of both in many cases. And especially in winter, when the humidity in the air goes down, we seep into the environment, and that's what makes our skins dry.
And Karen, are there obvious signs that we can look out for to say, wow, okay, I'm dry or my skin is dehydrated? Are there obvious signs that we can look out for?
I think in most cases for us, how we feel is our skin starts to feel tight. And that generally tells us that we are starting to lose the oils that we need to keep the water in. You will also notice that you have more fine lines. Your skin looks dull. If you're younger, your skin will be very dull. And that gives us an indication that you are losing water and that you need a little bit more hydration from a water-based ingredient.
And you mentioned how, the wind and the dry air could cause our skins to dry up. What else could factor in and cause dry skin? Not dehydrated, but dry skin.
Dry skin. Well, if you cleanse your skin or over-cleanse your skin or over-exfoliate your skin, what you're doing is you're literally removing the oils that are in your skin. If you also have very hot baths and very hot showers, and I mean, there's nothing better than going and lying in a hot bath when it's winter, hey?
Yeah.
If you have the facility and you can do that. And so those things are the biggest causes of dry skin. So over-cleansing, over-exfoliating, we're actually literally stripping the skin of those oils that they need to trap the water in the skin properly. So those are, and then of course the hot baths, yeah.
You are disappointing so many people, Karen, when you say the hot baths may not be ideal, especially now in winter.
That's the oil that you wash in the bath. That's what you should do. So it's just have a good product to replenish them.
And we'll talk about these products that we need to talk about, that we need to add to replenish. What about age, Karen? Does age play a factor in drying and dehydration of skin?
Definitely. As we and as our skin gets older, of course, we're not making, so our cells aren't as active. They're not making the lipids that you need. We talk about the lipid bilayer structure. So in the top layer of your skin, you have a structure of oils that lie in like plates with water trapped in between them.
Okay.
And your skin makes those layers. Now, of course, as you age, your cells slow down. Your cells might be damaged. They might not be working as well as they used to. So they're not making the elements that you need. So typically, in aging, one of the biggest things that we see is dry skin. Also, your skin's not shedding well. So you have a lot of old cells hanging around. And that also can become that also causes dryness. And then in females and also later on with males, as we see hormones deplete, that activity even plummets even more. So definitely in older skin, it's a challenge. And then we have a challenge in skins where there's allergies. Those would also tend to be a little bit more drier. And especially after you've had an allergic reaction, the corneum just doesn't have the capacity to stretch and release. So that's the top layer of your skin, doesn't have this capacity to stretch and release as the bottom layer does. So if you've had a little bit of swelling, a little bit of puffiness, you might be itchy and scratching your skin. There you also have a much higher risk of having dry skin. And that's when it's really important for our patients with eczema and psoriasis. They need to give double care when winter comes around to make sure that they're putting the right products on their skins to replenish those oils.
Well, we're currently in conversation with Karen Bester of Lamel Research Laboratories, talking to us about the difference between dry and dehydrated skin. And we'll take a quick breather. When we get back, we talk about solutions, because now you are worried listening to this conversation. How do I fix it? We'll find out right after this.
Embrace our young voices this month. Channel Africa, celebrating Youth Month. Africa Update on Channel Africa.
Over 35 organizations are expected to converge at the Union Buildings in Pretoria over illegal immigrants in South Africa. They say South Africa is facing a myriad of challenges and that foreign nationals are worsening the situation. Yes, Khutato, just take us through the main aims of the march, what you're hoping to get from them.
So we are basically saying to the President of the Republic of South Africa, illegal immigration is a pandemic. Implement the laws. It's not that we don't have these laws. How many people are being human trafficked? How many people are being hijacked? Our schools are full. Our hospitals are full. And it's almost as if we're carrying the burdens of the entire Africa at the expense of South Africans. And we are basically saying enough is enough. We want the President of the Republic of South Africa to meet us at the Union Building. We've submitted letters to say that we are coming on this day. We want to meet with him there to give him this mandate, because clearly he has failed citizens. He's failed South Africans by failing to implement the law. That's the most important thing. We are going to give you a mandate. We, the people, shall govern.
Africa Update with Lulu Kabu on Channel Africa every weekday from 12 to 2 p.m. The Upside. On The Upside, your voice matters.
It's 22 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Have you noticed your skin feeling a bit tighter this winter season and wondering what's happening? We are discussing the difference between dry and dehydrated skin. We're currently in conversation with Karen Bester from Lamel Research Laboratories. And Karen, just a quick question. Wrinkles, what causes that? Is that dry or dehydrated?
No, that's more. So fine lines can be caused by dehydration.
Okay.
So that's where we have water loss. But wrinkles are caused by collagen breakdown. We talk about elastosis, that's poor quality elastin. So it's the structure of the spongy part of your skin that's actually broken down as you age. And then on top of that, you've got movement. So it's like taking a piece of paper and folding it open and closed and open and closed. After a while, there's going to be a permanent line in that piece of paper. And the same thing happens with our skin, is that when we smile, we're folding the skin. When we relax, we stop. And we're doing that for 50 or more odd years. And then it literally makes it's like an injury inside into the second layer of the skin that causes a wrinkle. So they're different treatments.
Well, I guess
Different conversation.
different conversation indeed, because I was going to suggest perhaps the solution for that is a bit of Botox, but we'll talk about that one some other time. Karen, let's talk about why some people believe that just using a rich cream can solve all of these problems. As long as I apply a rich cream to my face, I shouldn't worry about dry skin or dehydrated skin.
So we have to be careful of rich skins because sometimes rich skin actually traps too much water. And that can actually then start to macerate your skin. So you can have breakdown of that top layer of the skin and it can be injuring. It's also important that we choose the right kind of oils in our products. Now, most cosmetic products will use good quality ingredients that are able to penetrate. And it's about molecular size. So some oils have very big molecules, they lie on the skin, and you feel that your skin feels nice and glowy and dewy, but you still have the tightness. Now, that's a good indication that maybe that oil isn't correct for your skin. So we're going to rather look at things like ceramides, which actually have the ability to penetrate into the skin and to form that lipid bilayer structure with the water trapped in between. There are many plant-based shea butter, for instance. I know people go butter, but shea butter is very compatible with your skin structure.
Okay.
And it's actually not that rich, so it also penetrates well. And there are many other plant-based oils that are actually very good for your skin. But going, for instance, purely, and yes, I do agree, though, that like if you are outdoors and in the wind and you are, then yes, a nice layer of petrolatum gel or Vaseline will do well. To protect you, but it's not feeding your skin. It's not replacing those lipids that you need. So from a protection point of view, for instance, your lip ice, those kind of things are very good, but they're not replenishing. So it's not just about the rich, oily product that you're going to put onto your skin. And then we also look at things like other ingredients that will, in older skin, will add vitamin C and growth factors, and we might even add a retinoid that stimulates the cell to start making what it needs to make to replace the lipid bilayer. So that would be slightly differently focused.
Yeah.
And then what we all like, all cosmetic houses of, and it's an ingredient that's very popular at the moment is hyaluronic acid. Now, I know people go, an acid, what? You're putting an acid on your skin? No. This it's actually a carbohydrate that binds water. Your skin makes it.
Okay.
And what we do is we just supplement that hyaluronic acid so that it traps more water in your skin to plump out those fine lines, to also help with how, it's actually surprising, but it has an effect on how your skin exfoliates. So you'll get rid of that dry skin, and you'll recover the skin structure in that way. So it is about the types of ingredients that we're putting onto our skin that's important.
Hyaluronic acid, yes, supposed to plump up the skin. Some people get it wrong, though. Why do they get it wrong and not get the full benefits of it?
I think there are different types of hyaluronic acid.
Okay.
And there are hyaluronic acids so hyaluronic acid naturally is a very large molecule. So sometimes it lies on top of the skin, and it does very well at trapping, but it doesn't do very well at necessarily plumping, especially if you already have a damaged and aged skin. Also, we need to keep it in. So you need to use hyaluronic acid with a moisturizer over top of it, unless your skin's very oily. So it's about so if we look at the layers of the skin, the bottom layer, the dermis, actually contains a lot of water. And then on top, it's like you've got a sealing layer in the corneum that's got the lipid in it.
Yeah.
So if you just put hyaluronic acid into this layer, some of it will penetrate, but it will evaporate again if you don't put something to keep it in. So it's about the combination of ingredients that you're going to be using. And that's also why many of your richer products actually do have hyaluronic acid in it.
Oh, amazing. Retinol, is that a better solution perhaps?
Retinol is more about stimulating cell turnover and creating new cells that will then give you a better structure.
Oh.
So retinoids as a first-line treatment for dry skin we wouldn't go that route.
Okay.
There are forms. So retinol, the ingredient retinol, is quite irritating. Now we use another version of the retinoid called a retinoic acid ester, which gives you the turnover, but it doesn't give you the side effect. But if you would put retinol onto an already dry skin, you probably will dry it out even more. So there's a process that's around your retinoids that you have to be aware of. And it's not going to give you the immediate results that a ceramide and a hyaluronic acid would.
And then finally, very quickly, Karen, what is your ideal routine that we need, facial routine that we need to follow to ensure that our skin doesn't dry out and get dehydrated?
So it's always, to me, there are always 3 steps. It's about cleansing, it's about moisturizing, and it's about wearing your sunscreen. Sunscreen is important.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for dry skin, but we live in a sunny environment. Serums are in addition to that. So we are going to be using a serum that contains hyaluronic acid or has a little bit more ceramides in it. That's additionally. But we can get away with, we can actually treat skin very well if we've got a good cleanser and a good moisturizer. And you need to do that routine twice daily. And also, generally in winter, we'll use a richer moisturizer, especially at night when we don't add more sunscreen when our skin is resting as well. So those would be the 3 critical elements.
Karen,
and then you can add serums and masks.
I love that. Karen will certainly be on the lookout at Lamel Research Laboratories and see the amazing work that you're doing there and also catch some tips on the websites as well. But thank you so much for your time and for giving us those top tips this afternoon.
Stunning. Thanks, Tebogo.
The voice there of Karen Bester from Lamel Research Laboratories. I hope you now understand the difference between dry and dehydrated skin, and hopefully we'll be able to combat that during this winter season. It's now 31 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. Let's get your sports news.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Good afternoon. We begin with football news. World Football's governing body, FIFA talent coach Ami Ninje, says he's confident that Liberia's youth national teams will become competitive on the international stage by the end of the ongoing FIFA Talent Development Schemes, TDS, a 2-year global initiative aimed at nurturing elite young players. Launched by former Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger, the TDS is designed to support member associations in building high-performance environments, expanding coaching expertise, and strengthening youth competitions to drive long-term football development. Ninje is one of 40 FIFA talent coaches deployed to 40 selected member associations worldwide. He's expected to earn $160,000 over the course of the 2-year project. LFA TDS coordinator Nathaniel Sherman says Ninje and his local technical team have visited all 15 counties and engaged more than 7,000 young players during the pre-scouting phase. Sherman noted that a final selection of top players will soon be brought to Monrovia for assessment led by FIFA Global Scouts, talent coaches and Ninje's technical team. The long wait is finally over. Mamelodi Sundowns will kick off their FIFA Club World Cup campaign against Ulsan from South Korea in Orlando at midnight tonight, South African time. This is the second time the Brazilians have qualified for the World Cup, having also done so in 2016. The Brazilians' left back, Aubrey Modiba, says they have enjoyed their stay so far and have been preparing well for their South Korean opponents.
The food, the hotel, the hospitality, everyone is friendly, they're very welcoming, the food is proper, we're enjoying every moment. We even had to go see the game, Tampa, it has been great and we're enjoying every moment. There's been a week and we've been preparing well, doing gym work and everything, and the coach, making sure that the team is prepared for the game. No major injuries, and it has been great. Looking forward to more weeks here, and hopefully do well in the games, and so we stay longer.
Sundowns will open their campaign against five-time South Korean champions Ulsan. They've also been Asian champions twice in 2012 and 2020. Bafana Bafana International Modiba is anticipating a tough game.
They're a very good side, similar in terms of how we play. We play the similar way. They've got good players. They're doing well in their respective league. They've got, I think, 4 stars or 5 stars on their shirt. So it's a good team, and they're not here by mistake. It shows that they deserve to be here. It's going to be a tough game. And yeah, like I said, looking forward to that game. And we're going to apply ourselves and make sure we do well, because we're representing Africa as a whole.
Sundowns and Ulsan are in Group F alongside German giants Borussia Dortmund and Brazilian powerhouse Fluminense. Now with athletics, world indoor champion and a South African for that matter, that's Prudence Kgodiso, says she's looking forward to taking part in the next leg of the Diamond League series, which will be held in Paris on Friday. This after she reached the podium in their events at the 7th leg of the Diamond League series in Stockholm, Sweden at the weekend. Kgodiso took 3rd position in the hard-fought women's 800-meter contest, ranking in valuable Diamonds League series points. She competed the 2-leg race in 1 minute, 58.800 seconds, with Georgia Hunter-Bell of Great Britain storming through at the finish to take the win in 1 minute, 57.66 seconds. Outdoor world champion Mary Mora of Kenya finished 2nd in 1 minute, 57.83 seconds, just 0.17 ahead of Kgodiso. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Figile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Stella Longwe. Pamalonje.
Palitusokoma pano pamalonje. Kumvera nyimbo za mu Africa, kusangalala, kupeza moyo, akuti kumva moyo kuti kuyenda bwino pano pamalonje. Ndiyetu apa tili ndikatswiri oyimba ameneyu ndikatswiri wa dziko la Malawi amene akukhala mdziko la South Africa, ndipo amayimba amene akuti ndi Big Nick Malawi. Yatusati kuti kodi moyo wanu oyimba ukuyenda bwanji mu Johannesburg?
Moyo oyimba ukuyenda bwino kwambiri. Chiliyonse chikutheka ndithu bwino.
Ayi aziwoneka chiliyonse chikutheka mofa magrasi anu apa mwaka. Akuti kumenya yonse aziwoneka zoti azikutheka ndithu mu Johannesburg.
Malonje panthawi ya 6 koloko kufikira 7 koloko madzulo. Lowiruka ndi Stella Longwe.
36 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Let's head on over now to Nosipo Zuma, who has your business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Good afternoon. In your business news, Tasawa, South Africa's Minister of Electricity and Energy, Dr. Hosienzo Ramakgopa, is expected to deliver an opening address at the 4-day Africa Energy Forum in Cape Town this afternoon. This year's event is held under the theme Africa United. The main objective of the meeting is to fast-track the acceleration of Africa's energy transition, among other things. The meeting also offers a unique platform to discuss and implement innovative solutions for Africa's energy challenges. The South African presidency has sought to clarify details surrounding the cost of the National Dialogue. Now, this after the National Dialogue Preparatory Committee estimated that the initiative will cost over $43 million, resulting in a wave of criticism from trade unions, political parties, and civil society. The dialogue will begin with the National Convention scheduled for the 15th of August, followed by community engagements across the country. The aim of the dialogue is to discuss solutions to the country's challenges. Presidency spokesperson Vincent Makwenya.
There isn't a budget, there isn't a number or a cost that the government is committed to. All we have is what has been communicated as a proposal that the foundations have put forward. Now, the foundations are not going to be the fiscal custodians of this process. Government is going to be the fiscal custodian of the process. And government has not yet engaged in a process of formulating a budget. So therefore, the debate over 700 million rands is completely misplaced and completely unnecessary.
JP Morgan has upgraded the Afrexim Bank's bonds to overweight from underweight today, citing valuations. This rating means that JP Morgan expects the bond will likely outperform its benchmark industry. The upgrade comes after ratings agency Fitch downgraded Afrexim Bank last week, drawing scrutiny from African stakeholders. Fitch downgraded the African Export-Import Bank's long-term issuer default rating from BBB to BBB-, assigning this negative outlook based on heightened risk exposure to Ghana, Zambia and South Sudan. Nhlanhla Mahlangu has more.
The African Trade and Development Lender has been at the center of a standoff over whether the loans it extended to these countries, two of which recently defaulted, are in the scope for restructuring or not. The downgrade led to criticism from the African Union's credit review body, which said the ratings was flawed and called for the decision to be reviewed. JP Morgan says the upgrade of the lender's bonds to overweight is as a result of valuations in the wake of the Fitch downgrade. For Channel Africa News, I am Nhlanhla Mahlangu in Johannesburg.
Meanwhile, ratings agency Fitch has raised Ghana's rating to B-, pushing it closer to investment grade. Fitch upgraded the rating from restricted default yesterday, saying that the country has normalized relations with a significant majority of its external commercial creditors. The gold-producing country is recovering from its most severe economic crisis in decades. Ghanaian President Dramani Mahama, who took office in January, has vowed to boost the economy and create jobs. And finally, South Korea says it will step up efforts to secure a trade deal in negotiations with the United States in the next few weeks. Seoul's top negotiator said this today after political turmoil at home had dampened its progress in tariff talks. His comments came after South Korea's new president said that it was important for South Korea to remain competitive on tariffs with other countries. South Korea is currently subject to a blanket 10% tariff with a 25% country-specific duty, which are on pause for 90 days. Your financial indicators: $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,544 naira 28. In Botswana is 13.23. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 39, and in Zambia is 24.17. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5.52. Russia is 78 rubles 69. India is 86 rupees 02, China at 71.18, and in South Africa $1 is trading at 17 rand 83. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,383 and platinum at $1,249 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $74.07 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nosipho Soma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Get the news, music, and lifestyle of Africa on Channel Africa, the African perspective. Big news from Channel Africa. Now you can listen and watch your favorite shows on Channel Africa. Channel Africa is streaming live on the internet, on all our social media pages at Channel Africa 1. From 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. Central African Time. Download the SABC Plus app or visit our website www.channelafrica.co.za and stream us live on all our social media pages at Channel Africa 1. Channel Africa now streaming for your eyes and ears only. Channel Africa, the African perspective. The Upside. On the Upside, your voice matters.
43 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome back to The Upside on Channel Africa, the African perspective. This Tuesday edition of the show. Thank you so much for tuning in this afternoon. Stream us live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, so you can see our lovely studios and our amazing guest on the screen right now. We were talking earlier about dry skin versus dehydrated skin, the need to take care of your facial routines. But is it necessary? Is it really necessary to go for a facial? Or is it just a luxury we treat ourselves to every now and then? The truth is, facials do a lot more than leave your skin feeling soft and pampered. They help to deeply cleanse your pores, remove dead skin cells, boost blood circulation, and support skin renewal in ways that regular home care often can't. Whether you are dealing with breakouts, dullness, dryness, or just the effects of everyday stress, a professional facial can help reset and restore balance to your skin. At Skin Recode, they believe every person's skin holds a unique story, one shaped by time, experience, and individuality. Their approach goes beyond surface-level care, offering treatments like bright coat activation, cellular renewal, and calm code therapy, all tailored to support each person's specific skin journey. To further unpack, we are joined by Dr. Danielle Gounder, spokesperson of Skin Recode. Dr. Danielle, thank you so much for your time and welcome to The Upside.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Let's start off by understanding the work that Skin Recode does. I was reading somewhere that you are the first in Cape Town to offer aesthetic skin clinic to offer high intensity focused ultrasound. So I just wanted to find out more about Skin Recode and your offering.
Yeah, of course. So at Skin Recode, we believe that every person's skin is unique. Their skin story is unique and their journey is unique. So we really want to be a part of just embracing everyone's natural skin. That means regardless of their shade of skin, their texture, their age, their gender, we want to be involved in that story and we want to get their skin to the best possible place it can be.
And then this technology, high-intensity focused ultrasound. I'm not very familiar with the skin technologies, but this one sounds very unique and one that we need to know about. What does it do, and how impactful is it to the actual skin?
So our HIFU treatment, or like you said, our high-intensity focused ultrasound, what it does is it penetrates deep into the skin, actually to the muscle layer. So you're getting this really great penetration through all the layers of the skin. And what it does is it firms the skin, it tightens the skin, and it brightens it. So what you're getting is this really impactful thing from a non-invasive technique, which I think is really great in this industry where we see a lot of fillers, a lot of Botox being used, and those are all invasive treatments. This is one that's non-invasive, and a treatment that people feel safe getting. And that's what we really want our clients to feel comfortable, and we want them to feel confident in what they get.
And Dr. Danielle, is this process a once-off, or do we need to go back on a routine basis?
So our clients have reported results from the very first session.
Oh, wow.
So if you're happy after that first session, you can go with that, and we'll be more than happy to let you be happy with those results. But we love our clients to kind of come for maybe more treatments, or even if they don't, like, they see the results and they kind of want to optimize the treatment that they're getting. We want them to get the best possible results. So like I said, you can come for month one and you'll definitely see those results.
For people at home, and I mentioned it earlier, is there a need for us to get facials and go get professional facials? At home, I've got my own routine. I'm cleansing. I am using serums. Is there an actual need for me to go and get a professional facial? And what is the purpose thereof for those who are still on the fence about it?
Well, our skin is actually our largest organ on our body, and it's not given the seriousness that other organs in our bodies are given. And so, yes, we might be having our own routines at home, we're using products, but we don't really know if we're using the products that are suited for our skin. We haven't had the professional kind of advice that we need to see, are we targeting the right areas? Are we addressing the skin concerns that we might not be mainstream? Because a lot of products are targeted to like a mainstream issue, but that might not be your issue specifically. So we want you to come in, we want to analyze your skin for what it is, for your skin, and kind of see what the problems are there and move on from what we need to do for your exact skin.
Well, it is now 49 minutes after 1 p.m. Central African time. We're currently in conversation with Dr. Danielle Gaunda, spokesperson of Skin Recode. Their approach, I mentioned earlier, goes beyond surface level care, and they truly believe that every person's skin holds a unique story, one shaped by time, experience, and individuality. And we are asking the question, yes, professional facials are important. Are they really? If we have our own routine at home, and Dr. Danielle mentioned it beautifully there, saying that sometimes we don't know whether the products that we're using are actually good and suited for our skins. It is now 10 minutes before 2 p.m. Central African time. We continue this conversation right after this. If you have any questions for Dr. Danielle, send me a WhatsApp, +2763 406 9126.
Zochitika ndi madaphiri kamlondola wazochitika pena paliponse.
Unduna wa zamalonda ku Malawi waletsa kampani yopanga shuga ya Ilovo yomwe ndi nthambi ya Ilovo Sugar Group Limited kuti isiye kutumiza shuga ku maiko akunja. Malingana ndi nduna ya zamalonda Vitumbuko Mumba, izi zithandiza kuti shuga yemwe yakusowa pamsika azipezeka. Ndiye pano ndili ndi George Muhangu amene ali mu mzinda wa Blantyre mu dziko la Malawi. Chimene chikupangitsa kuti shuga azisowa ndi chani?
Chomwe chikupangitsa kuti shuga azisowa ndichonena kuti panopo ili ngati off season ya makampani a Ilovo Sugar Malawi, kunena kuti sakutha kupanga shugayi okwanira chifukwa akukolola. Ndiye akamaliza kukolola pameneno atayambeno sopano kugaya shugayi kuti azipezeka. Chinanso ndichonena kuti ma distributors amene akumakagula shuga kaya ndi ku Ilovo kaya ndi kusalima shuga akumagulisa ku maiko akunja ngati Zambia, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Mozambique.
Zochitika ndi madaphiri lolemba mpaka lachisanu pa nthawi ya 7 koloko kufikira 8 koloko madzulo pa Channel Africa.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the Upside.
Well, let's continue our conversation about taking care of our skins. This winter, we are currently in conversation with Dr. Danielle Gaunda, spokesperson of Skin Recode. Dr. Danielle, let's talk about aging, genetics, the role that they play in our skins and how our skins respond to certain conditions, weather conditions, the products that we use. And then is there a way to reverse it by going to a professional facial service provider like yourselves?
Okay. So, of course, aging is a natural process. It's not something that we should be scared of, and it's not something that we want to shame anyone about.
Yeah.
But it is something that we can reverse to a certain extent with certain products, especially like the HIFU that we mentioned. There's also different other treatments, laser treatments that are effective for actually tightening the skin, firming the skin. We also have a facial that incorporates jet plasma. So that's also things that tighten the skin, brighten the skin, and kind of reverse the aging effects to a certain extent. And of course, when it comes to things like environmental effects, as we're going into winter, the sun is still really strong. So we need to incorporate things like sunscreens. We need to incorporate products that work well for the skin type that we have. So if you have aging skin, you want to target aging with certain products.
If I, for example, were to come to Skin Recode and I said I need help with my skin, and then you perform one of these amazing, treatments on me, the high intensity focus ultrasound, for example, do I need to then maintain a routine after the treatment? Will it wear off the effects of it, the impact of it, if I don't take care of myself outside or after this treatment?
So the effects of the HIFU are long lasting. So it's not something that's going to go away with time. It's not something that you're going to damage with by using other products. We, of course, keep our own skin line at Skin Recode. And so we would encourage you to incorporate products that we would suggest work best for you. But of course, everyone has their own skin range, and we want to kind of build into your skin range. If you've got one that you're comfortable with, we just want our treatments to kind of boost your skincare treatments that you're on. And so that's really what it's about.
And since it is winter, Dr. Danielle, what tips do you have, and perhaps even products or treatments that you have to ensure that our skins remain hydrated during this winter month and it does not dry out?
So, of course, just in terms of skincare, instead in terms of winter, because it's very dry, it's very cold, and we're trying to look at skin in a holistic way, we always want to keep hydrated. I know everyone talks about water, but it is such an important component of skin. We use things like toners. We have wonderful skin sense products that we keep at Skin Recode. It keeps the skin moisturized, it keeps it hydrated on its surface level, as well as deeper into the layers of skin. We also recommend using serums that are targeted to hydration, targeted to anti-aging, to fine lines that dehydration sometimes brings as well. And we also encourage everyone to use a sunblock. At any age, any skin type, you need to be using a sunblock.
Does the SPF matter on the sunblock?
Yes, absolutely. So we would recommend an SPF that's at least 50. So you want to be reapplying that sunblock as well at regular intervals. We want to make sure that you're not just applying it in the morning and you think that sunblock's going to last the entire day. We have to keep our sunblocks with us. We have to be reapplying, and that's the only way we'll stay protected.
Especially when this harsh winter sun is consistently hitting your skin. You need that. Dr. Danielle, thank you so much for your time. Where can people find out more about Skin Recode, and where are you located?
So we're based in Cape Town. We're at the Riverlands Mall in Observatory. And if anyone would like to make an appointment or find out more about us, you can call us on 021-065-1724, or you can check us out on our website, Skin Recode.
Dr. Danielle, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me.
The voice there of Dr. Danielle Gounder, spokesperson of Skin Recode. So yes, in as much as you have your own facial routine at home, sometimes there is a need to seek professional help and guidance so that they can properly see what's happening within the layers of your skin, because whatever products that you're buying may not be suitable for your skin, and they can help you figure out which one is right for you. It's now time to wish you a happy birthday. Is it your birthday today, the 17th of June? If it is your birthday, happy birthday to you. I've got a special message for you this afternoon.
Every birthday to you, every birthday to you, every birthday to you, every birthday to you. Fini. Joyeux an.
That is the song you sing when you know that you are very likely to forget people's birthdays. Right? You sing that one every birthday to you, and for the next at least 3-5 years you are sorted. All right, let's listen in on a song. We've got Mona Lisa coming your way by Low J featuring SARS and Chris Brown. Enjoy.
Across the globe, when Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's.
Top stories this hour: tear gas spreads in the Kenyan capital and a growing concern on patients in Britain posting for social media. Kenyan police have fired tear gas at people protesting in the capital Nairobi today over the death of blogger Albert Ojwang. Clashes also broke out in downtown Nairobi as unidentified motorcyclists beat up protesters and dispersed them. A video showed some of the motorcyclists carrying whips and sticks. Kenya's police spokesperson could not be immediately reached for comment on the clashes. The 31-year-old teacher and blogger was declared dead earlier this month, just 2 days after he was arrested, with police initially saying that he had committed suicide. Whether South Africa's Independent Electoral Commission should be given more powers to police political party funding is a subject that will be discussed at the IEC's 2-day symposium. The event kicks off tomorrow in Durban. The Electoral Commission event will reflect on the challenges and successes of the Political Party Funding Act since its implementation in 2021. The Act aims to regulate the public and private funding of political parties to improve transparency and accountability, as well as to avoid capture. Electoral Commission's George Mahlangu says that the decision on how to improve the manner in which the Act operates lies with the public and their representatives, giving insight in terms of international best practice.
In other countries, there are 2 separate institutions. There's an institution that does the registration of political parties and the political funding. And then there's an EMP which does elections and elections only. Now, in that instances, you find that the political parties that transgress the law get disregistered by the body that registered them initially. Now, in our case, at the moment, the political parties didn't register with political funding unit, but they registered with the electoral operations through the Electoral Act. Now, if they transgress the law, is political funding unit the right unit to deregister a political party?
The South African National Defence Forces Chief Joint Operations Lieutenant General Siphiwe Sangweni says that concerns that soldiers from the Democratic Republic of Congo have come back without their weapons is misplaced. General Sangweni says that 80% of the SANDF equipment and weapons have already been moved to Tanzania, and the process to bring them back home is likely to take months. He says that the weapons were moved when soldiers moved from Goma to Tanzania. The fourth group of soldiers returning from the SADC peacekeeping mission in the DRC is expected to land at Bram Fischer International Airport today in Bloemfontein in the Free State province.
The weapons and equipment are coming back. It does not imply that they are carrying those weapons as of now. So there is a process currently underway of equipment being transported from Tanzania, where currently almost 80% have been moved from Goma up to the transit camp in Tanzania. As we indicated previously, that both our equipment is quite big, then they will be taken or moved by sea.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has posthumously pardoned the Ogoni 9, a group of environmental activists, among them the late Ken Saro-Wiwa, who were executed by a military regime nearly 3 decades ago for protesting oil pollution in the Niger Delta. But the move has been met with sharp criticism from Ogoni leaders who say that a mere pardon falls far short of justice. Nigeria coordinator of the Ogoni Solidarity Forum, Celestine Okpobari.
The president of Nigeria is one of the most powerful presidents in the world. So what I expect Mr. President to do, if he has no power to exonerate, was to set up a judicial panel of inquiry to do a review of the kangaroo trial, to look at the trial of Justice Alta and do a review of what happened, how the lawyers of Ken Saro-Wiwa were chased out of the tribunal. All those things, they're supposed to look at it, and I know that such a panel will recommend exoneration. I also would have loved Mr. President to set up another panel to look at the military occupation of Ogoni land, how the military occupied our land, because those that committed genocide in Ogoni are walking freely on the streets of Nigeria. It shouldn't be.
A medical trade union in Britain says that the growing number of patients filming their treatments for their social media accounts could be putting lives at risk. The Society of Radiographers says that taking photos or videos in hospital could distract staff and cause anxiety. The BBC's Jim Reid had more details.
One member of staff said she agreed to take a photo for a patient's daughter, only to see her phone and realise the entire procedure had been filmed covertly to post on a cancer blog. The union says sharing material also risks accidentally exposing the private medical data of other patients who are being treated at the same time. Some hospitals do have rules to stop this happening, but the union is calling for all trusts to have clear and widespread policies in place.
Let's recap the top story. Kenyan police have fired tear gas at people protesting in the capital Nairobi today over the death of a blogger, Albert Ojwang. The clashes also broke out in downtown Nairobi as unidentified motorcyclists beat up protesters and dispersed them. For any news stories that you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I am Nolutando Butelezi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Well, welcome to the second hour of The Upside. It is now 8 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Thank you so much for tuning in to Channel Africa this afternoon, The African Perspective. We are live on the SABC Plus app. You can stream us from our lovely studios in Auckland Park, Johannesburg, South Africa, on our social media platforms at Channel Africa 1, on X, Instagram, TikTok, at Channel Africa on YouTube, specifically where to stream the video, like where you'll see us at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube. And don't forget to download that SABC Plus app. And as always, you can stream us on www.channelafrica.co.za. Well, in this hour of The Upside, we get into conversation with South African Tourism's Abby Jacobs to celebrate their Global Film Award win. They won 2 awards at that Film Award Festival, and to unpack how real storytelling is bringing travelers to all 9 provinces, specifically Dutch travelers. We are seeing a lot of Dutch travelers going to all parts of South Africa, not just the Kruger or in Cape Town. What brought that about? All right, that's all coming up. And then later on, we've got What Caught Your Eye. I've got an interesting soundbite for you to listen to. I love dad jokes, personally. I don't know about you. So try not to laugh at these ones.
The other day, a truck carrying Vicks vapor rub overturned on the highway. Fortunately, there was no congestion on the freeway. I asked my wife when her birthday was. She said March 1st, so I walked around the room and asked her again.
I'm sorry to say that the operation has left you completely blind.
Oh, I see.
Oh, cool. Then forget I said anything.
Hello, my wife is going into labor.
Is this her first child?
No, this is her husband.
How did you find your steak, sir?
Well, I just looked next to the potatoes and there it was.
Well, shout out to the Respectful Rebel on social media who provided us with those first 2 clips. I got it on his TikTok account. Go check him out. Always sharing some dad jokes, and then some of the funniest dad jokes you can find online to complete that package. It's 10 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome to the second hour of The Upside.
Channel Africa, your voice, your sound, and your home. Stay logged right here. Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter? Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard? Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126, and we will call you back so you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So yeah, that's who I am, you know.
It's not just talk, it's your chance to air your views, share your opinion, engage with a community that values your perspective. Follow us on our social media. Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za and get ready to share your views on Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix. Kwa nini wanamuziki wengi sana wa kizazi kipya hawafiki mbali pale wanapofanya muziki?
Ni kwa sababu kitu cha kwanza ambacho naweza nikaongelea nikagusia zaidi sana ni kusema kuwa wale wasanii wanapotoa ngoma yao ya kwanza ikiwa kama kahiti kidogo tu, wanaanza kutamba mitaani, wanaonekana kama wapo majuu zaidi sana.
Kuna wanamuziki wengine ambao wanakimbilia kwa waganga wa jadi. Hivi muziki na dawa vinaendana?
Kitu cha kwanza naweza nikasema ni kuwa muziki na dawa haviendani. Lakini muziki ni kipaji.
Kuna watu wengine wanashutumu wasanii wengine kwamba wanaroga.
Wanaroga, wale wasanii kama wanaroga ni kutokujiamini tu. Lakini kitu cha muhimu sana ni kipaji.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
Your afternoons just got even better, fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle,
I'll Be There. What a banger, what a song that is. It's 16 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Welcome to The Upside. If you've just joined us, with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, with you all the way to 4 p.m. Central African time. Later on, we'll have our conversation about Tourism South Africa and the big win. I can't wait to share some of those wins with you and why especially European and Dutch travelers are exploring South Africa's 9 provinces more than we've ever seen before. But for now, we want to talk about the importance of literacy in South Africa. There seems to be a literacy crisis at the moment. We're not seeing as many young people picking up books. Reading is not as big a culture as we would like it to be. And we want to find out why that is the case and how we can improve on that going forward. It's still Youth Month in South Africa, and it's very important for us to ensure that the young people are reading books because it expands their horizons, expands their knowledge base. And when you have that expanded knowledge base, you can become anything in this world. We are joined in studio by the man who is running programs and campaigns to challenge this literacy crisis and ensure that the young people are reading. In the townships, in the classrooms, they are reading. Murendeni Nefali, or shall I call you Theo Nefali? Theo, thank you so much for your time, man, and welcome to The Upside.
Thank you, Tebogo. What a privilege. Thank you so much for this opportunity to get to talk about what we do as a company. We use the power of storytelling, as we say, to empower young people. And ultimately, we craft our own stories and we try to use those stories to get into schools and to get young people into reading and into falling in love with reading.
I love that. Theo is the founder of Chosen Epics. Chosen Epics, am I correct in saying it like that? What inspired it? What was the gap that you were noticing that made you feel this is absolutely needed in the time that we're in, as well as in the communities in which we are operating?
Yeah, so I think when I started doing research around reading and literacy, I realized how bad it was. So we had heard about it over the years. Reading is the literacy rate is bad. But then when we started getting into it, you then realize, sure, it's actually bad. I think the statistic is over 80%. There was research done a couple of years ago that over 80% of grade 4 learners, so kids up to the age of 10, could not read for meaning. So the word that the teachers use is comprehension. So they don't have comprehension skills. As I've been continuing to get ourselves out there, as we're doing research on the ground, talking to teachers, talking to principals, we're hearing that this really is a problem. Teachers will say they'll put assessments in front of the kids, and then the kids will they'll cram it. They'll know it in a moment, but if a teacher changes the questions, they got 100% yesterday, they fail it the next day. It's a comprehension issue.
It's a comprehension thing.
You see, so they know how to associate words, but they don't know that meaning part is critical. This Pearl's research that was done a couple of years ago just highlighted how bad things were for us as a country.
We'll continue the conversation. It's 20 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. We're currently in conversation with the founder of Chosen Epics, a youth-driven literacy movement that's tackling the harsh reality that millions of South Africans are facing right now, which is a literacy crisis. His name is Murendeni Nefali, but on his books you'll see Theo Nefali. We'll find out why right after this.
Call us on +27 63 406 9126 and contribute to the conversation. Africa, it's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K,
or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
See, Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. Enjoy the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Whatever you want to hear about today's talk, you can only get it on the Upside. Every weekday, 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
21 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. We're still in conversation with the founder of Chosen Epics, and we are dealing with the harsh reality of literacy crisis in South Africa, particularly in the townships as well as in the classrooms. Murendeni had mentioned the alarming statistics that kids are reading but not with understanding and comprehension. So there's a massive gap there. I want to start off here. It's a rather interesting one. Your name is Murendeni Nefali, but on your books I see it's just Theo. Where did Theo come from?
Yeah, so I have a background in theology, and so you'll often see some of my theology and Christian influences sort of come into the writings here and there. I always knew that I wanted to write content that was fiction and non-fiction, so leadership is another thing that I'm big into, and I've started putting together content that's leadership content. So content that is non-fiction, I use my real name, Morendini, and then fiction, because it's fantasy as well, the genre. Then I thought, no man, let me get a ghost name, a pen name, and then Theo there is one of the characters in the story, Theophilus, one of the characters who's navigating and is guiding some of the teenagers there.
All right,
and so it's from the perspective of somebody who's been on the journey with the story, but then a play on words there.
So you are a guide.
A guide, I'd like to think so, guiding young people from one stage of life to the next.
I like that. How are you dealing with this, and how are you addressing and combating this literacy crisis? You mentioned through storytelling, but how does that actually practically look like?
Yeah. So I thought about my own upbringing as a child. So I was not big into reading. To this day, I'm not big into reading.
Same here.
If you're to come to my house, you'll see a bunch of bookshelves. My wife loves reading.
Oh wow! Okay.
And I noticed. So I consume a lot of information, but her vocabulary is still better than mine because she reads.
Absolutely, yeah.
So just from reading, there's just something that you acquire. As far as language goes.
Yeah.
And so I remember when I was younger, as a boy, I didn't read much, but I enjoyed Super Strikers. I tell people,
we were just talking about it off air, yes.
Dude, I genuinely, so then I would look at the different characters following the soccer team and the soccer players, but the visuals got me.
Yes.
You see, so the reading itself, not so much, but the visuals got me.
Yeah.
And as the years went on, there was this book series called The Diary of a Wimpy Kid, where they got these cartoon characters, and so more boys started reading. So I thought to myself, nah man, there's something there. What if in 2025 we in South Africa came up with content that young people could relate to, that would draw them in, and then once you draw them in with engaging storytelling, then you actually then enhance and put in whatever teaching principles you want to put in. Amazing. You know what I'm saying? And so for us, we want to do so that the novel that you have in front of you there is book 1 of a 3-book series, right? And so the idea in a series is you get kids to invest in characters.
Okay.
So when they're invested in characters, they're more likely to keep wanting to follow the stories and follow the characters.
Yes.
Whereas if you just show them a short story, okay, sharp, they'll read it, but then life goes on because there's no attachment. So that's the thinking for us as a company, where you'll see the comic book there is sort of adapted from the main novel. The main novel is 379 pages long, so it's
quite,
a long read.
It's quite a book.
Yeah. So it is. You're not going to read it overnight per se.
Yeah.
But then the comic book was birthed from that. There's each of the characters has their own little bio. I've written a story about Dumi, who's one of the 6 characters. She's from South Africa. She's from Soweto, Meadowlands. And so we're then doing little spin-offs from each one that again tries to get young people more engaged and connected with the characters.
What seems to be the problem when it comes to kids picking up books and just reading? Where does it start? Where does the problem start? Does it start at home or in the school?
Yeah, that's a good question. My default would say both and. My default would be both at home, both at school. So again, school, kids are forced to read. If I think about my entire academic journey, I was forced to read even when I went to university, even when I went, So you don't have a choice but to read. But with kids, we're trying to get them to read and to go deeper in the reading. Right, so I was talking to one of the I was talking to one of the teachers. So you mentioned rightly so that we're trying to focus on schools, especially in townships and in the rural context. So the South African school system is split up, the government school system, into 5 quintiles. Quintiles 1 to 5. Quintiles 1 to 3 are your poorer schools, where there's no school fees, right? And so it's government funding that covers it. And so that's typically where the literacy crisis is the highest. Not necessarily in your suburban government schools, because they typically have additional resources that allow them to have support from teachers, extra tutors, parents are more involved. So I think you to answer your question, you do see that if the home can reinforce what the schools are teaching, then a student is more equipped. So time and time again, we do need the home and parents or guardians to be involved. But again, the reality of South Africa is our parents and our guardians aren't always available. They're out there providing. They're out there,
absolutely.
We're trying to figure out as a company, how do we come alongside the schools, come alongside the parents, and try and support where some don't have that same amount of support.
How has the buy-in been so far? The schools that you've been to, the kids reading the novels and then the comic books, how has the buy-in been from the kids, the teachers and the parents as well?
Yeah, so we are still in the early phase of rolling out our programs and getting the books into the schools. And so we are currently in the process of finalizing piloting in a primary school in Seshiro, Polokwane, one of the townships.
Nice.
We're also in talks with a high school in Soweto. But we're also we're partnering with a non-profit that has been doing mentoring work with underprivileged kids in a couple of high schools. And so they identify some of the high achieving kids in those contexts, and they've actually seen results over time. And then there's another private Christian school that we're trying to roll out one of our other programs as well in the south of Gauteng. So I will say every teacher, every school we communicate with are excited. The challenge is the funding. So typically it costs to run our programs, right? So it's a business. And so one of our business models then we'll approach a business or a corporate and then we'll ask them to sponsor a program in one of the schools. So I think the buy-in has been great thus far. The key is crossing over that funding dynamic. And isn't it always the case? It's the finances side of things.
Well, important conversation that we're having, and one that we need to expose to the listeners and those decision makers at large right now listening in on this conversation, because if it's a funding thing, then they need to be not just convinced, because I love this initiative and I think it's something that we need to be rolling out across all the schools, just to develop and harness a culture of reading amongst the young people. If you can start it when they're young, they'll grow up to be even more competent, just incredible human beings. Intelligent, yes, but also with understanding of what's happening around them. There will be people who will understand how to look at situations and find solutions, and this is based on what they've been reading. And it's been an amazing conversation that we've been having. And we'll continue the conversation, Murendeni, because I want to find out the characters in your books and what you base them off. For now, it's 30 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Let's get the sports news with Fikile Lingwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
And in this hour, Tebogo, we begin with the marathon, Comrades Marathon, where 74-year-old veteran marathon runner Louis Meissen is still on a high after achieving a remarkable milestone. Completing his 50th Comrades Marathon, the Otinikwa Harriers athlete, who hails from George in the Western Cape, also broke other world records during his down run from Pietermaritzburg to Durban. The celebrated athlete is now also the first person in the world to complete 50 ultramarathons. Meissen completed his first Comrades Marathon in 1973. He's also earned the coveted 6-star medal for completing marathons in Tokyo, Boston, London, Berlin, Chicago, and New York. Now he'll also be able to submit his new accolades to the Guinness World Records. Meissen says he ran the race with 50 of his closest running mates.
The support along the route was just amazing. It was a tough day out, but yes, Thank you to all the supporters, the spectators, fellow runners. You are keeping me motivated. Thank you ever so much. It has been a great day out, probably the best day in my real running history of 52 years.
And the world indoor champion Prudence Khodiso says she's looking forward to taking part in the next leg of the Diamond League Series, which will be held in Paris on Friday. This after she reached the podium in the events at the 7th leg of the Diamond League Series in Stockholm, Sweden at the weekend. Khodiso took third position in a hard-fought women's 800-meter contest, raking in valuable Diamond League Series points. She completed the two-lap race in 1 minute 58.00 seconds, with Georgia Hunter-Bell of Great Britain storming through at the finish to take the win in 1 minute 57.66 seconds. Outdoor world champion Mary Mora of Kenya finished second in 1 minute 57.83 seconds, just 0.17 seconds ahead of Khodiso. Meanwhile, though it wasn't a Diamond League race in the men's 100-meter contest, Brett Linkwana took second position in the pre-program. He crossed the finish line in 10.23 seconds, 0.05 seconds off the pace of Ghanaian athlete Benjamin Asamati, who secured victory in 10.18 seconds. South African champion Gift Leotlela was disqualified for a false start. The long wait is finally over. Mamelodi Sundowns will kick off their FIFA Club World Cup campaign against Ulsan from South Korea in Orlando at midnight tonight, South African time. This is the second time the Brazilians have qualified for the World Cup, having also done so in 2016. The Brazilians left back Aubry Modiba says they have enjoyed their stay so far and have been preparing well for their South Korean opponents.
The food, the hotel, the hospitality, everyone is friendly, they're very welcoming, the food is proper, we're enjoying every moment. We even had to go see the game, Tampa, it has been great and we're enjoying every moment. It has been a week and we've been preparing well, doing gym work and everything, and the coach, making sure that the team is prepared for the game. No major injuries, and it has been great. Looking forward to more weeks here, and hopefully do well in the games, and so we stay longer.
And finally, World Football's governing body FIFA talent coach Amin Ninje says he's confident that Liberia's youth national teams will become competitive on the international stage by the end of the ongoing FIFA Talent Development Scheme, TDS, a 2-year global initiative aimed at nurturing elite young players. Launched by former Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger, the TDS is designed to support member associations in building high-performance environments, expanding coaching expertise, and strengthening youth competitions to drive long-term football development. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us +2711 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fili Lungwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Ahoy, matey!
Captain here to help, right, boys?
Set sail with us on a digital voyage like no other. Channel Africa has a treasure trove of awesomeness. That is our website and social media pages.
Tell me, why are you here?
We want you to be part of our adventure.
The winds are changing, Captain. And this time...
Imagine a world where curiosity knows no bounds, where entertainment meets enlightenment, and where every click leads to the African perspective. Visit us on our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, or follow us on Instagram or on X at Channel Africa 1. Go on, like us on Facebook at Channel Africa 1. So, spread the word. Tell a friend that Channel Africa's online variety is what they need on the web. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
36 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African time. Let's find out how the markets are moving with Nosipho Zuma, who's got your business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Good afternoon. In your business news this hour, Kenya's Parliamentary Finance Committee has rejected a proposal to grant the country's revenue authority unrestricted access to taxpayers' data, citing privacy concerns and constitutional safeguards. Now, according to a report published late on Monday, the provision included in this year's finance bill drew public backlash over alleged privacy violation. The committee says that current laws already allow the Kenyan Revenue Authority to access financial data with a court warrant, rendering the proposal unnecessary. Nhlanhla Mahlangu reports.
Kenya's Finance Minister John Mbadi has defended the measure, saying it would help curb tax evasion, particularly by wealthy individuals exploiting legal protections to conceal financial information. Mbadi was not immediately available to comment on the committee's decision. President William Ruto's government has been trying to increase tax collection to help keep up with the growing debt repayments. Last year's finance bill was followed by deadly riots against tax increases. Mbadi has said the government will not impose new taxes or raise existing ones in this year's bill. For Channel Africa News, I am Nhlanhla Mahlangu in Johannesburg.
Zimbabwe's gold-backed currency now has more than 100% reserve cover and is stable, but doubts over its credibility remain, underscored by a persistent premium in the parallel market. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe on Monday kept its benchmark rate unchanged at 35%, citing a stable exchange rate as one of the reasons, and reported total reserves of $701 million. The bank says the portion of transactions carried out using the Zimbabwean gold, which is ZiG currency, surged to 43% in May from 26% in April 2024, the month it was introduced. African energy explorer Rhino Resources and its partner Azul Energy will drill the new Volans 1X exploration well offshore Namibia in late July or early August. The Volans prospect is being investigated soon after Rhino Resources struck light oil in April at a second successful exploration well, Capricornus 1X, that was drilled in the prolific Orange Basin of Namibia's coast. Tabisolo Hoko has more.
A company spokesperson says the test in Volans is a priority for a potential fast-track development option, adding that its morphology could make it easier to exploit than Capricornus. The Cape Town headquartered company is the operator of Petroleum Exploration License 85 in partnership with Azule Energy, a BP and Eni joint venture, as well as national oil company Namco and Chorus Investments. Other operators that have found significant discoveries offshore the southern African country include Shell and Gulp Energia.
Global oil demand will keep growing until around the end of this decade, despite peaking on top of imported China in 2027. The International Energy Agency says the growth comes as cheaper gasoline and slower electric vehicle adoption in the United States support consumption. Despite seeing an earlier demand peak of China, the IEA, which advises industrialized countries, stuck to its prediction that global demand will peak by 2029. This view sharply contrasts with that of producer group OPEC, which says consumer will keep growing for much longer. And finally, US President Donald Trump says he would likely extend a deadline for China-based ByteDance to divest the US assets of short video app TikTok. In May, the president said he would extend the 19th of June deadline after the app helped him with young voters in the 2024 election. His comments to reporters on Air Force One on Tuesday reiterated that sentiment. Your financial indicators: one US dollar in Nigeria is trading at 1,544 naira 28, and Botswana is 13 pula 23. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 39, and in Zambia is 24 kwacha 17. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 52. Russia is 78 rubles 69. India is 86 rupees 02. China at 7 yuan 18, and in South Africa $1 is trading trading at 17 rand 83. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,383 and platinum at $1,249 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $74.07 a barrel. Now, for any news stories or any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nosipho Zuma.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Midday vibes, great programming, and good company. This is Channel Africa. Big news from Channel Africa. Now you can listen and watch your favorite shows on Channel Africa. Channel Africa is streaming live on the internet on all our social media pages at Channel Africa 1 from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. Central African Time. Download the SABC Plus app or visit our website www.channelafrica.co.za and stream us live on all our social media pages at Channel Africa 1. Channel Africa now streaming for your eyes and ears only. Channel Africa, the African perspective. They talk about what Africans say about Africa.
It is 43 minutes after 2 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome back to The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, with you all the way to 4 p.m. Central African Time. We are still coming to you live from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. And you can stream our conversations live on our social media platforms at Channel Africa on Facebook and at Channel Africa on YouTube. Let's continue our conversation with the man who is a storyteller with a purpose, a voice that's cutting straight through the literacy crisis that we're dealing with in South Africa. Murendeni Nefale. He isn't just an author. We spoke to him earlier about the incredible work that he's doing through his business Chosen Epics, a youth-driven literacy movement tackling the harsh reality that millions of young South Africans are facing, and that is the struggle to read and comprehend what they are reading. And I just want to commend you, first of all, the incredible work that you're doing. We were having our own off-air conversations about the work that Chosen Epics is doing. And I want to go back to the basics of the crisis that we do find ourselves in, the literacy crisis. How important is a parent's involvement in a child's ability to pick up reading and develop a culture of reading in the homestead? How important is a parent reading for their child and instilling that culture? Why is that so important?
Yeah, look, and while we were talking off air, you asked me if I read for my boys. So we have a 2-year-old and a 5-month-old. And interestingly, my wife is the one who instilled the reading culture, and not me. You know, but again, she grew up reading. And she still reads to this day. She reads for fun, whereas I consume stories through video format. So I love watching. So I've got all the subscriptions: Netflix, Prime, Disney, Showmax, and so she just my wife reminded me of the importance of us getting our boys to read at a young age, and so we're already reading to him, and again, you see the importance of a parent, because were we not the ones who had chosen to start reading for him now, it means he would have started being exposed to reading at a later stage. So from my own personal experience now, as a father of 2 young kids, I can say, yes, it's important. Now, research has told us, I think the data in South Africa has told us that where parents are involved, you'll see an increase in knowledge that is retained on whatever is being taught at school, right? So So one of the things that you see when you compare kids in poorer contexts versus kids in more affluent contexts, one of the big differences is the availability of parental or guardian support, right? So already there's a gap there, and it's reinforced by the fact that sometimes the parents or the guardians of the kids themselves in some of these poorer contexts, they themselves can't even help the kids even if they wanted to, the role of parents is critical. So we we have 3 programs that we run as Chosen Epics as a company. So I wrote these books, but we built programs around them. The first one is a literacy program targeted at primary school and high school kids. The second program we have is a leadership program. And then the third program is a tertiary level program that focuses on workplace readiness. So all of these, there's still this literacy theme. But one of the things that we've done with the literacy program for schools is we've incorporated parental support and connection in these programs, right? So where possible, we're trying to, and again, the feedback we've gotten from teachers and principals, they've helped us refine the worksheets to get parents involved. They say, the principals have said, try not to ask too much of parents because they're busy. They don't have too much time, right? Craft activities that parents can get involved with their kids, even if it's just a few minutes at a time, right? So we have learned that parental involvement can be a critical aspect of strengthening literacy. We have crafted the involvement of parents even into our programs as a company.
Oh, I love that. Let's talk about the Chosen battle with a Seberocian prince. Seberocian prince. You said it took you 6 years to create this book. Tell us about this story. Tell us about this story. What inspired it, and walk us through what we can expect when we pick up this book.
Yes. So let me read the back cover. Sure. I think it captures it well. So it says, a high school junior named TJ opens the front door of his house one day to find a brown package with nothing but his name written on it. In it, he finds a personalized credit card, passport, and a watch. He also discovers a note with an invitation to a location he has never heard of before, Kathmandu. Intrigued beyond measure, TJ leaves everything familiar behind him and books a one-way flight to Nepal, thanks to his mysterious new credit card. Once at his destination, TJ learns that he is one of 6 teenagers from different parts of the world, whose lives now intersect because they each received a mysterious brown package. Each followed their curiosity to come to this point. Told they would receive the answers to all their questions if they successfully climb to the top of one of the most challenging mountains in the world, they accept the challenge. There they will soon find out that they are at the center of a millennia-old battle between 2 groups of powerful forces that have been at odds since the beginning of creation. What started out as a journey spurred on by curiosity will result in exposure to a world they could have never imagined. This is the ultimate clash between good and evil, with the fate of humanity in the hands of 6 unexpected teenagers. Can these 6 teenagers change the fate of the world? Oof. So yes, it took me 6 years to write.
Come on.
Started 2015, finished 2021. Another sort of 18 months to have a friend of mine sketch the front cover. And then another friend to help with proofreading and editing it, right? So this is definitely something that I'm super confident it can go into any superior bookshop in our country, across the world, because, man, this is like, I've put in the hard work into the story, right? And again, so I think to the question of the inspiration, so I grew up watching Harry Potter. I grew up watching the Chronicles of Narnia, Lord of the Rings, and then a bunch of Marvel movies, so like superhero movies. So I think it's a cross inspiration of all of those, and then my Christian worldview, then my biblical reading. There's a mix of everything, and then being a black man in South Africa, there's a mix of that. I started writing this while I was doing my master's in California, and so there's a mix of some of my experiences in LA that went into the story as well. So yeah, those were definitely all of the inspirations.
No, this is amazing. I tell you what, it's giving blockbuster. I'm ready to see this in the cinema someday. What a read! And then you turned it into a comic book.
Yeah.
What was not the inspiration? Because I know where the inspiration came from for this one. You were speaking to the different continents. In this particular book. Why was it so important for you to represent all of these continents?
Yeah, look, I mean, perhaps it's the fact that I'm South African, and we talk about the Rainbow Nation. We talk about the fact that we are a nation that is comprised of a variety of races, of cultures, of people groups.
Yeah.
And so that's always been a value for me. My wife is Zambian. And so in our own home, there's 2 different African nationalities represented. Yeah. So I think that's always been important for me as a value. Just the fact that I believe God made us uniquely different. And so we need to celebrate that. So the story revolves around 6 young people from 6 continents, right? From 6 different parts of the world. Yeah. The one is from Los Angeles, the other one is from London, the other one is from Australia, the other one is from China, the other one is from Argentina, and then Dumi, our South African local girl from Soweto, Johannesburg, And so the idea is, again, also from a worldview perspective, it's important for us to recognize that we need one another, right? Like this thing of I can do things on my own. I really don't agree with that. And so even with our story, we'd love for young people to recognize, man, like we are better together. Yeah. Right? Like there's this slogan that our pastor uses a lot at the church, which is better together. And I think that is an important principle in life.
Yeah.
When you think you don't need other people, man, you're headed down a lonely road.
100%.
A limited road.
Yeah.
And so in the story, these kids take on the world. They take on the evil forces of this world, but they couldn't do it alone. Each of them come with their own worldview, their own perspective. And I think that's what I love for our young South African readers. For them to recognize, even though they might come from Seshego, Polokwane, or Soweto, they have so much to offer.
Yeah.
What do you have that you can offer the world? And then we put that together. We're going to take on the world. We're going to change the world.
How can we support this movement? Chosen Epics, how can we support?
We would love to get copies of our books into young people's hands. So that's, if you have a young person, if you have a son, you have a daughter who's in high school, who's in primary school, buy copies of the books for your kids. Yeah. Buy copies of the books for your nephews, for your friends' kids. That's definitely the first starting point for us here is get copies and then let's distribute them to our young people.
Where can we get them?
We can get them online. So at our website, www.chosenepics.com, www.chosenepics, chosenepics.com. It's also available on Amazon, on Kindle. So The Chosen, you'll find it on Amazon on Kindle, and then typically wherever I am in person, we definitely will sell copies of the books as well.
Oh, I love the fact that it's not just accessible here in South Africa, but anywhere, and actually anywhere around the world, we can access these books. The Chosen, an epic adventure by Theo Nefali, and then The Chosen, Battle with the Seberosian Prince by Theo Nefali. Not Theo. Murenden. Let me not call you by your fictional name. Murenden, thank you so much for your time. Incredible work that you're doing, and we wish you nothing but success. May your star continue to shine, and we certainly hope that people buy copies of these books and distribute them to the young hands in South Africa, in Africa, everywhere around the world, so that we can instill a culture of reading on the African continent. But thank you so much for your time this afternoon and the incredible work that you're doing.
Thank you for the time and opportunity, Tebogo.
The founder of Chosen Epics, Murendeni Nefali. Check out his books. It's now 4 minutes before 3 p.m. Central African Time. Ndawana coming your way by Shasha, featuring Kelvin Momo and Sykes. Enjoy.
afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
And if you want to find out all things luxury, fashion, travel, and art and culture, this is exactly the place to be.
If it's hip, if it's happening, we are talking about it. We talk about what's now, what's next, and most importantly, what matters most on the African continent and the diaspora.
Do you know what time it is? Catch us every weekday on Channel Africa from 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Yeah, that's us every weekday afternoon. Your weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
And if you want to find out all things luxury, fashion, travel, and art and culture, this is exactly the place to be.
If it's hip, if it's happening, we are talking about it. We talk about what's now, what's next, and most importantly, what matters most on the African continent and the diaspora.
Do you know what time it is? Catch us every weekday on Channel Africa from 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Yeah, that's us every weekday afternoon. Your weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
And if you want to find out all things luxury, fashion, travel, and art and culture, this is exactly the place to be.
If it's hip, if it's happening, we are talking about it. We talk about what's now, what's next, and most importantly, what matters most on the African continent and the diaspora.
Do you know what time it is? Catch us every weekday on Channel Africa from 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Yeah, that's us every weekday afternoon. Your weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
And if you want to find out all things luxury, fashion, travel, and art and culture, this is exactly the place to be.
If it's hip, if it's happening, we are talking about it. We talk about what's now, what's next, and most importantly, what matters most on the African continent and the diaspora.
Do you know what time it is? Catch us every weekday on Channel Africa from 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Yeah, that's us every weekday afternoon. Your weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner.
Sha, featuring Kelvin Momo and Sykes. What a conversation we just had with Murendeni Nefale. It is now 3 p.m. Central African Time. Norutando Putelezi has your latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Top stories this hour. Kenyan police fire tear gas at protesters, and Trump says he is not looking for ceasefire between Israel and Iran. Kenyan police have fired tear gas at people protesting in the capital Nairobi today over the death of blogger Albert Ojwang. Clashes also broke out in downtown Nairobi as unidentified motorcyclists beat up protesters and dispersed them. A video showed some of the motorcyclists carrying whips and sticks. Kenya's police spokesperson could not be immediately reached for comment on the clashes. The 31-year-old teacher and blogger was declared dead earlier this month, just 2 days after he was arrested, with the police initially saying that he had committed suicide. The reintegration of the South African National Defence Force members who have just returned from the troubled, torn Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo will not be easy without having to undergo an intensive psychosocial sessions. Specialist military sociologist at the University of Stellenbosch, Professor Lindy Haken, says that most of the soldiers could be carrying a burden of what they have witnessed while on deployment. The fourth group of soldiers returned from the SADC peacekeeping mission in DRC and and is expected to land at Bram Fisher International Airport in Bloemfontein today. Heineken says that most soldiers experienced the deadly war, which might have left them traumatized and in need of proper counseling prior to integrating back into their families and work units respectively.
So while our soldiers are adequately prepared to reintegrate back into the unit and back into the family, the actual family members don't always fully understand the difficulties, trauma that the soldier, husband, wife has gone through while on their deployment. And many factors affect it. This is external factors as well as internal factors, so it depends on the family relations. But this is really one of the most difficult phases as well for the soldiers coming back, is this reintegration. Because even if they have not seen conflict, which is unlike our soldiers, there is an element of post-traumatic stress.
Whether South Africa's Independent Electoral Commission should be given more powers to police political party funding is a subject that will be discussed at the IEC's two-day symposium. The event kicks off tomorrow in Durban. The Electoral Commission event will reflect on the challenges and successes of the Political Party Funding Act since its implementation in 2021. The Act aims to regulate public and private funding of political parties to improve transparency and accountability as well as avoid capture. Electoral Commission's George Mahlangu says that the decision on how to improve the manner in which the Act operates lies with the public and their representatives, giving insight in terms of international best practice.
In other countries, there are two separate institutions. There's an institution that does the registration of political parties and the political funding. And then there's an EMB which does elections and elections only. Now, in that instances, you find that the political parties that transgress the law get disregistered by the body that registered them initially. Now, in our case, at the moment, the political parties didn't register with political funding unit, but they registered with the electoral operations through the Electoral Act. Now, if they transgress the law, is political funding unit the right unit to deregister the political party?
A new joint United Nations report released by the World Food Programme and the Food Agriculture Organization has warned that people in 5 hunger hotspots around the world face extreme hunger. WFP DRC spokesperson Shelley Tarkrell says that the latest hunger hotspots report shows that Sudan, Palestine, South Sudan, Haiti and Mali are hotspots of high concern.
You know, the statistics are just dreadful. Wasting 45 million, stunting 148 million, and children with obesity 37 million. So when you have got countries in the world, and again, there's a very small margin. I mean, Afghanistan's up there. You have got severe hunger in Sudan. 1 in 3 children suffer from acute malnutrition. In DRC, 1 in 4. So this is really troubling for humanitarian workers globally.
The U.S. President Donald Trump says that he is not looking for a ceasefire in the conflict between Israel and Iran, but instead wants a real end to the fighting. Iran and Israel are exchanging fire for a 5th day, with Iranian media reporting explosions in Tehran overnight. Israeli military says that Iran fired 30 missiles at the country. Speaking on board Air Force One, Trump added that Iran should have done a deal with the U.S. over its nuclear program and that he was not too much in the mood to negotiate now. To recap the top story, Kenyan police have fired tear gas at people protesting in the capital Nairobi today over the death of blogger Albert Ojwang. Clashes also broke out in downtown Nairobi as unidentified motorcyclists beat up protesters and dispersed them. A video showed some of the motorcyclists carrying whips and sticks. Kenya's police spokesperson could not be immediately reached for comment on the clashes. For any news stories that you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I am Nolutando Buthelezi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Seven minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Welcome to the final hour of The Upside on Channel Africa, The African Perspective, with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni. Catch us live on our social media platforms. Stream the show from, so you can see our studio where we are streaming, where we are broadcasting from, at Channel Africa on Facebook and YouTube, and at Channel Africa 1 on Instagram and TikTok. Check us out on the DSTV channel 802, OpenView channel 628, and also stream us on www.channelafrica.co.za. Don't forget to download the SABC Plus app so you can travel with us wherever you go, anywhere on the African continent or the diaspora as well. Coming up on this hour, or in this hour of The Upside, interesting conversation about tourism. And I say interesting because it's as if our producer had specifically aligned this conversation on my behalf. As someone who loves traveling and exploring, particularly South Africa, this is a conversation that I am certainly looking forward to. The South African tourism has bagged a couple of awards, and we want to unpack the Live campaign, or Live South Africa campaign, that they rolled out to particularly reel in travelers from European countries like the Netherlands, Sweden. Why are the Dutch coming to South Africa, and why are they exploring all 9 of the provinces? Not just Mpumalanga and the Kruger National Park, not just the Western Cape and Cape Town, but they're now going across the entire the entire country of South Africa. And we'll find out more about this Live South Africa campaign, what it means for the future of tourism in South Africa, and why it's so important to highlight the key features and the benefits and the beauty of all the provinces in South Africa. That conversation is coming up next. It's 10 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time.
Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African Perspective. Africa in Business on Channel Africa.
An investigation by South Africa's non-profit organization Open Secrets has found that telecoms company MTN has played a role in shutting down the internet during elections and wars in Sudan, Cameroon, Iran, Afghanistan and Uganda, thus enabling governments to silence the opposition.
Interestingly, this isn't just unique to MTN. I think the report also looks at Vodacom DRC as being a proponent of one of these violations, particularly in shutting down the internet during the elections in 2018 and 2019. Autocratic regimes are able to utilize the licenses that they have with these telecom companies, basically to, suppress political dissent. And the result is that many people are left without connectivity. And not only does this affect people's ability to communicate with their loved ones and access vital emergency services, but also at a very basic level of access to information.
The Open Secrets investigator, Lu Vorne Uduli.
Africa in Business on Channel Africa. Weekdays from 1 to 2 p.m. Central African Time. Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Yeah, Starboy Day for you. Starboy Day for you. Baby girl, you find yourself.
Your weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
And if you want to find out all things luxury, fashion, travel, and art and culture, this is exactly the place to be.
Prepare to be delighted. If it's hip, if it's happening, we are talking about it. We talk about what's now, what's next, and most importantly, what matters most on the African continent and the diaspora.
Do you know what time it is? Catch us every weekday on Channel Africa from 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Yeah, that's us every weekday afternoon. Your weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
And if you want to find out all things luxury, fashion, travel, and art and culture, this is exactly the place to be.
Prepare to be delighted. If it's hip, if it's happening, we are talking about it. We talk about what's now, what's next, and most importantly, what matters most on the African continent and the diaspora.
Do you know what time it is? Catch us every weekday on Channel Africa from 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Yeah, that's us every weekday afternoon. Your weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
And if you want to find out all things luxury, fashion, travel, and art and culture, this is exactly the place to be.
Prepare to be delighted. If it's hip, if it's happening, we are talking about it. We talk about what's now, what's next, and most importantly, what matters most on the African continent and the diaspora.
Do you know what time it is? Catch us every weekday on Channel Africa from 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Yeah, that's us every weekday afternoon. Your weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
And if you want to find out all things luxury, fashion, travel, and art and culture, this is exactly the place to be.
Prepare to be delighted. If it's hip, if it's happening, we are talking about it. We talk about what's now, what's next, and most importantly, what matters most on the African continent and the diaspora.
Do you know what time it is? Catch us every weekday on Channel Africa from 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Yeah, that's us every weekday afternoon. Your weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
And if you want to find out all things luxury, fashion, travel, and art and culture, this is exactly the place to be.
Prepare to be delighted. If it's hip, if it's happening, we are talking about it. We talk about what's now, what's next, and most importantly, what matters most on the African continent and the diaspora.
Do you know what time it is? Catch us every weekday on Channel Africa from 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Yeah, that's us every weekday afternoon. Your weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
Join Tebogo and Nompumelelo on The Upside, where optimism meets opportunity.
16 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Fever there by Wizkid. Welcome to The Upside. If you've just joined us with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, on Channel Africa, The African Perspective. Now, the South African tourism has walked away with 2 awards at the International Tourism Film Festival for its Live South Africa campaign, which targeted travelers from the Netherlands, Belgium, and Sweden. The campaign, designed to let audiences experience South Africa through the eyes of locals, struck a strong chord with the viewers. It helped contribute to a notable 5.8% rise in arrivals from North Europe between January and April 2025, with the Netherlands leading the way remarkably. Dutch travelers visited all 9 provinces of the country last year, a feat only matched by tourists from the United States. The winning entries highlighted unique South African stories, one from Madikwe Safari Lodge, chosen to promote safari experiences beyond the Kruger, as well as another from Travel and Tours, a female-run tour business focused on Soweto. Central to the campaign was the South African camera that was used from recycled local materials that allowed travelers to quite literally see the country from a local perspective. We're currently joined on the line by Abby Jacobs, acting hub head for North Europe at South African Tourism. Abby, thank you so much for your time and welcome to The Upside.
Hi, Tebogo. Thank you so much for having me.
Excited
to be here.
Quite the mouthful that I just shared there. Suffice to say, congratulations on the 2 golden awards there. How does it feel for the South African Tourism to have bagged these?
Thank you. Thank you so much. We're very excited. Obviously, we put our consumers at the center of all the work that we do and focus on being data-led and using insights and, of course, being creative around that. So we're very happy that we got this recognition because we always just make sure to be creative and innovative in everything we do.
Tell us about the Live South Africa campaign. What was it all about? What was the central theme?
So specifically for North Europe, we localized the Live South Africa campaign for a North European audience.
Okay.
And what was central to it was putting locals as the hero of, in the center of the story and having locals as our heroes. The reason why, as I mentioned, being insight-led is because consumers from that region, specifically the Netherlands, want to travel like a local. And so we thought, what better way to showcase the destination than through the eyes of a local? And of course, for our most recent campaign, we then created a literal lens to showcase South Africa through in the form of the South Africam, which was a camera.
Well, it's 19 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. We're currently in conversation with Abby Jacobs, acting hub head for North Europe at South African Tourism, to talk about the amazing awards, the awards that South African Tourism has walked away with. 2 gold awards at the International Tourism Film Festival for its Live South Africa campaign. It is focused on the North European countries of Netherlands, Belgium, and Sweden. And as a result of this campaign, we have seen a notable 5.8% rise in arrivals from North Europe to South Africa, exploring not just parts of South Africa, but all 9 provinces. We'll continue the conversation right after this.
Annika Longi sur Channel Africa.
Nous allons danser au son de Haya, que je dédicace à vous tous, chers auditeurs, qui êtes en train de suivre cette émission Mix Vibration. N'oubliez pas, vous pouvez nous suivre à partir de l'application SABC+. Vous choisissez Channel Africa pour suivre l'émission en direct. Nous allons danser au son de Haya.
Annika Longi, tous les dimanches sur Mix Vibration.
This is The Upside for the best African vibes, groundbreaking content.
Well, let's continue our conversation with Abby Jacobs, acting hub head for North Europe at South African Tourism. Abby, let's talk about this Africam, the South Africam. Who brought about that idea? Was it yours?
So it was a team of people. I wouldn't take full credit. Of course, we have agencies that we work with, and we collaborate to get good ideas out. But at the crux of it, and obviously from the strategic side, we know that audiences from North Europe appreciate sustainability. They want to travel responsibly, and we also, as we said, know that they want to experience every destination they go to through the eyes of a local. And so the South African became a vehicle to doing exactly that, communicating South African experiences through the eyes of a local and letting locals be the hero of our story, And then, of course, creating a camera built from South Africa, from recycled materials. There are various different materials that we used, put together to make this analog camera. And then, of course, the South African became something we used to take photos, of the country. And then we then created a photo exhibition to showcase the destination in collaboration with the South African restaurant in the Netherlands called Braai. So it wasn't my idea. No, I'm not going to take the credit for it. But of course, it was a team of people, a lot of brainstorming, and also through our agency who assisted us in the Netherlands.
And Abby, where is this AfriCam now? Is it in a museum somewhere? Because that's where it needs to be.
No, it's actually in our offices in the Netherlands. And what we do is we take it with us for every single exhibition that we go to, for every activation that we have. That AfriCam is front and center. It's in the Netherlands currently, but it can come back home. We actually will bring it back home. We'll decide.
No, it needs to be paraded around like this, the same way they would parade a FIFA trophy. We must parade this across the streets of South Africa. Abby, let's talk about the two winning entries. The Madikwe Safari Lodge to promote the safari experience in South Africa beyond the Kruger. Why was that a chosen film?
So we wanted to showcase, again, one of the core things the traveler from North Europe wants to do is to experience safari.
Yeah.
And we know that they know all about Kruger. It's not about dissuading them from going there. Definitely not. That they already do Kruger. They do Kruger extensively. They do self-drives from Joburg. They do the 5-star game reserves. They do the self-catering. Like I said, they travel like a local. And so what we said was we want to showcase all of our provinces, and safari is a core reason for them coming to South Africa. And Madikwe is another really beautiful region that has safari that we then also chose to showcase for that reason. So it was really just safari beyond the Kruger to show that there are other areas in South Africa where we can do safari. We also showcase KZN, for example, in some of our other work, and we also showcase Eastern Cape. But for this particular purpose in this video, Madikwe was the chosen area to do safari, and Madikwe ended up being a winning video. So it worked out really well.
And the Soweto-based operator, I hope I'm saying it properly,
yeah, but it's spelled so yes. Zandile Dlamini is the owner.
Why was that important to be a part of the representation of South Africa to showcase Soweto?
So culture is and historic culture and urban culture is also a very important aspect that we want to showcase, and that travelers from North Europe come to South Africa to experience. And Soweto is a core iconic area that people from the region visit. Soweto tours are done in various different ways by lots of wonderful product in and around South Africa. But Zandile and the way she conducts her tours specifically is really special. She is from the area, of course. She is from Soweto, and she showcases things beyond the norm. Again, she showcases Soweto as though you are a local, and she's showing you hidden gems beyond the touristy streets, etc., etc. So the reason we want to incorporate people like Zandile, and we do incorporate people like Zandile and other small businesses and people who are from the communities, is because it showcases an authentic part of the country. And number one, we love showing exactly who we are to our tourists that come.
Yeah.
And number two, from a Dutch tourist perspective and a North European tourist perspective, they want to see the things beyond what the guidebook says and shows. And of course, we want to expose small businesses like Zandile and like our tours. We want to expose small businesses. We want to showcase our wonderful female-owned businesses in South Africa. And so it just felt like such a wonderful fit. And once again, ended up having us win. So that was really exciting. There was, in fact, 6 videos in the content series. And the other product also had similar characteristics. But of the 6, of course, the 2 won. And so, yeah, we're very happy that we happen to be showcased like that.
And Abby, why is visual storytelling such a powerful tourism tool?
Because it invites our audiences into the country beyond any other way. Visual storytelling exposes the personalities, exposes the stories, exposes the authenticity of the country, and it allows us to let the audience in on everything that's beautiful about the country. And so that's why visual storytelling is really, really important for us.
Oh, I love that. And how does winning this award or these awards impact South Africa's global brand as a preferred destination?
So we hope it'll have a positive impact on our global brand. But for North Europe specifically, what we aim to do with these campaigns is to build brand equity beyond what one campaign can achieve. When we build equity, it's something that's built over time. And through telling real stories aligned with consumer insights and aligned with the data we have for our target consumer, in this case, North Europe, it allows us to build the equity in the minds and hearts of our consumers over time.
Yeah. And how amazing is it seeing the North Europeans not just exploring the Kruger and the Western Cape and Cape Town, but all 9 provinces. How important is that for you?
That's very important, and it's such an achievement for us to have had the Dutch consumer do that, because geographic spread is, of course, one of the things we want to promote, is having each and every one of our provinces visited, because each and every one of our provinces have something really special to offer. So to have our Dutch consumer set actually say, we want to see everything, just speak to the frequency of their travel to South Africa. We know that for a traveler to visit all 9 provinces, you have to have come back more than once, because statistically, first timers only do about 2, maybe 3 provinces at most.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about returning visitors is saying, I've already done province 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. I'm not naming whichever one, but I've already done X amount of provinces. I want to see something different. So the fact that we have consumers that have seen all 9 provinces is really something spectacular. The Netherlands specifically has a 49% repeater rate, meaning half of the people we get are people who are coming back. So they know that once they come, there's more to see, more to do. And so it's fantastic that they do, in fact, come back and do different things and then visit different provinces as well.
Oh, I love that. Abby, congratulations for the wins. And we certainly hope that we see more campaigns coming through from the South African tourism. And we're glad that those campaigns have converted into actual visitations and an increase in those coming to South Africa. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Tebogo. Thank you for having me.
The voice of Abby Jacobs, acting hub head for North Europe at South African Tourism, sharing their latest win as the South African Tourism Live South Africa campaign, bagging them 2 awards at the International Tourism Film Festival Africa. It is 30 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African Time. Fikile Lingwati has your sports news.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Let's start off with football news. The long wait is finally over. Mamelodi Sundowns will kick off their FIFA Club World Cup campaign against Ulsan from South Korea in Orlando at midnight tonight, South African time. This is the second time the Brazilians have qualified for the World Cup, having also done so in 2016. The Brazilians left back Aubrey Modiba says they have enjoyed their stay so far and have been preparing well for their South Korean opponents.
The food, the hotel, the hospitality, everyone is friendly, they're very welcoming, the food is proper, we're enjoying every moment. We even had to go see the game, Tampa, it has been great and we're enjoying every moment. It has been a week and we've been preparing well, doing gym work and everything, and the coach, making sure that the team is prepared for the game. no major injuries, and yeah, no, it has been great. Looking forward to more weeks here, and yeah, hopefully do well in the games, and so we stay longer.
Sundowns will open their campaign against five-time South Korean champions Ulsan. They've also been Asian champions twice in 2012 and 2020. Bafana Bafana International Mudiba is anticipating a tough game.
They're a very good side, similar in terms of how we play. We play the similar way. They've got good players. They're doing well in their respective league. They've got, I think, 4 stars or 5 stars on their shirt. So it's a good team, and they're not here by mistake. It shows that they deserve to be here. It's going to be a tough game. And yeah, like I said, looking forward to that game. And we're going to apply ourselves and make sure we do well, because we're representing Africa as a whole.
Sundowns and Ulsan are in Group F alongside German giants Borussia Dortmund and Brazilians powerhouse Fluminense. And 74-year-old veteran marathon runner Louise Meissen is still on a high after achieving a remarkable milestone, completing his 50th Comrades Marathon. The Utinikwa Harriers athlete, who hails from George in the Western Cape, also broke other world records during his down run from Pietermaritzburg to Durban. The celebrated athlete is now also the first person in the world to complete 50 ultra marathons. Meissen completed his first Comrades Marathon in 1973. He also earned the coveted 6-star medal for completing marathons in Tokyo, Boston, London, Berlin, Chicago, and New York. Now, he'll also be able to submit his new accolades to the Guinness World Records. Meissen says he ran the race with 50 of his closest running mates.
The support along the route was just amazing. It was a tough day out, but yes, thank you to all the supporters, the spectators, fellow runners. You are keeping me motivated. Thank you ever so much. It has been a great day out, probably the best day in my real running history of 52 years.
And finally, tennis news. The data shared with the BBC by World Tennis Governing Body and other agencies involved in the sport has revealed that last year, angry gamblers were responsible for around 40% of detected online abuse aimed at players. Female stars in particular have reported increasing volumes of digital abuse. The British player Katie Bolger said that she had been targeted on numerous occasions. The BBC's Laura Scott has more details.
Bolter said it's hard to differentiate between serious threats and baseless ones. She said, you really don't know if this person is on site, if they're nearby, or if they know where you live. During 2024, 458 tennis players received thousands of abusive, violent, or threatening public messages. The tennis authorities are now calling on the gambling industry to help tackle the issue. The Betting and Gaming Council said social media companies need to take swift action against users.
For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. This is Channel Africa Sport with me, Fire Lengwati.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Africa, meet Abedi.
Yeah, that's me.
Abedi is a music lover through and through.
I really love African music.
He's got a taste for all kinds of tunes and spends his days listening to Channel Africa. Guess what? He didn't know.
Okay.
Channel Africa wants to help Abedi and all music lovers everywhere to discover even more incredible music. That is why Channel Africa is calling on all African musicians to submit their music. Musicians, remember to give us all your relevant information. Make your submissions at music@channelafrica.co.za. Submissions are your chance to be heard on radio. But sadly, they do not guarantee that you will be playlisted. All submissions will be carefully reviewed to see if they meet our station's requirement. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
And for the very last time on the upside this afternoon, Nosipho Zuma has your business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Good afternoon. In your business news this hour, Kenya's Parliamentary Finance Committee has rejected a proposal to grant the country's revenue authority unrestricted access to taxpayers' data, citing privacy concerns and constitutional safeguards. Now, according to a report published late on Monday, the provision included in this year's finance bill drew public backlash over alleged privacy violations. The committee says that current laws already allow the Kenyan Revenue Authority to access financial data with a court warrant, rendering the proposal unnecessary. Nhlanhla Mahlangu reports.
Kenya's Finance Minister John Mbadi has defended the measure, saying it would help curb tax evasion, particularly by wealthy individuals exploiting legal protections to conceal financial information. Mbadi was not immediately available to comment on the committee's decision. President William Ruto's government has been trying to increase tax collection to help keep up with the growing debt repayments. Last year's finance bill was followed by deadly riots against tax increases. Mbadi has said the government will not impose new taxes or raise existing ones in this year's bill. For Channel Africa News, I am Nhlanhla Mahlangu in Johannesburg.
The Financial Action Task Force, FATF, is expected to conduct an on-site visit in South Africa, which is the final step before a country can be considered for removal from the grey list. South Africa has made significant progress in completing all the required 22 recommended action items outlined in the action plan adopted when the country was grey-listed in 2023. Now, the country was grey-listed due to deficiencies in its anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing regime. National Treasury Advisor Ishmael Momoniet has commended the increased efforts of law enforcement agencies.
Remember, we were grey-listed for a period of just over 2 years, and what FATF assessed was during this time, every 4 months they assess whether there was an increasing trend in both investigations and in prosecutions. And these were the two most difficult action items that we had to achieve, and we expected them to be only dealt with towards the end because they weren't just interested in an increase from one reporting cycle to another, in other words, every 4 months. They wanted to see this increase being sustained throughout this period.
Zimbabwe's gold-backed currency now has more than 100% reserve cover and is stable, but doubts over its credibility remain, underscored by persistent premium in the parallel market. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe on Monday kept its benchmark rate unchanged at 35%, citing a stable exchange rate as one of the reasons, and reported total reserves of $701 million. Now, the bank says the portion of transactions carried out using the Zimbabwe's gold ZEC currency surged to 43% in May from 26% in April 2024, the month it was introduced. African energy explorer Rhino Resources and its partner Azule Energy will drill the new Volans 1X exploration well offshore Namibia in late July or early August. The Volans prospect is being investigated soon after Rhino Resources struck light oil in April at a second successful exploration well, Capricornus 1X, that was drilled in the prolific Orange Basin of Namibia's coast. Tabisola Hoko has more.
A company spokesperson says the test in Volans is a priority for a potential fast-track development option, adding that its morphology could make it easier to exploit than Capricornus. The Cape Town headquartered company is the operator of Petroleum Exploration License 85 in partnership with Azule Energy, a BP and Eni joint venture, as well as National Oil Company Namco and Chorus Investments. Other operators that have found significant discoveries offshore the Southern African country include Shell and Gulp Energia.
And finally, global oil demand will keep growing until around the end of this decade, despite peaking on top importer China in 2027. The International Energy Agency says the growth comes as cheaper gasoline and slower electric vehicle adoption in the United States support consumption. Despite seeing an earlier demand peak for China, the IEA, which advises industrialized countries, stuck to its prediction that global demand will peak by 2029. This view sharply contrasts with that of producer group OPEC, which says consumption will keep growing for much longer. Your financial indicators: one US dollar in Nigeria is trading at 1,544 naira 28. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 23. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 39, and in Zambia, it's 24 kwacha 17. The BRICS countries: $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 52. Russia is 78 rubles 69. India, it's 86 rupees 02. China, it's 7 yuan 18, and in South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 83. $1 is trading at 73 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $3,383 and platinum at $1,249 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil is at $74.07 a barrel. Now, for any business news stories you would like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I'm Nusi Pozoma.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Zochitika ndi madaphiri kamlondola wazochitika pena paliponse.
Nduna wa zamalonda ku Malawi waletsa kampani yopanga shuga ya Irovo yomwe ndi nthambi ya Irovo Sugar Group Limited kuti isiye kutumiza shuga ku maiko akunja. Malingana ndi nduna ya zamalonda Vitumbuko Mumba, izi zithandiza kuti shuga yemwe yakusowa pamsika azipezeka. Ndiye pano ndili ndi George Muhangu amene ali mu mzinda wa Blantyre mu dziko la Malawi, chimene chikupangitsa shuga azisowa ndi chani.
Chomwe chikupangitsa kuti shuga azisowa ndichonena kuti panopo ili ngati off season ya makampani a Irovo Sugar Malawi, kunena kuti sakutha kupanga shugayi okwanira chifukwa akukolola. Ndiye akamaliza kukolola pameneno atayambeno sopano kugaya shugayi kuti azipezeka. Chinanso ndichonena kuti ma distributors amene akumakagula shuga kaya ndi ku Irovo kaya ndi kusalima shuga akumagulisa ku maiko akunja ngati Zambia, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Mozambique.
Zochitika ndi madaphiri lolemba mpaka lachisanu pa nthawi ya 7 koloko kufikira 8 koloko madzulo pa Channel Africa.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802.
Your weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
And if you want to find out all things luxury, fashion, travel, and arts and culture, this is exactly the place to be.
If it's hip, if it's happening, we are talking about it. We talk about what's now, what's next, and most importantly, what matters most on the African continent and the diaspora.
Do you know what time it is? Catch us every weekday on Channel Africa from 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Yeah, that's us every weekday afternoon. Your weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
And if you want to find out all things luxury, fashion, travel, and arts and culture, this is exactly the place to be.
If it's hip, if it's happening, we are talking about it. We talk about what's now, what's next, and most importantly, what matters most on the African continent and the diaspora.
Do you know what time it is? Catch us every weekday on Channel Africa from 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Yeah, that's us every weekday afternoon. Your weekday weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
And if you want to find out all things luxury, fashion, travel, and art and culture, this is exactly the place to be.
If it's hip, if it's happening, we are talking about it. We talk about what's now, what's next, and most importantly, what matters most on the African continent and the diaspora.
Do you know what time it is? Catch us every weekday on Channel Africa from 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Yeah, that's us every weekday afternoon. Your weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
And if you want to find out all things luxury, fashion, travel, and art and culture, this is exactly the place to be.
If it's hip, if it's happening, we are talking about it. We talk about what's now, what's next, and most importantly, what matters most on the African continent and the diaspora.
Do you know what time it is? Catch us every weekday on Channel Africa from 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Yeah, that's us every weekday afternoon. Your weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
And if you want to find out all things luxury, fashion, travel, and art and culture, this is exactly the place to be.
If it's hip, if it's happening, we are talking about it. We talk about what's now, what's next, and most importantly, what matters most on the African continent and the diaspora.
Do you know what time it is? Catch us every weekday on Channel Africa from 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Yeah, that's us every weekday afternoon. Your weekday afternoons have been upgraded by The Upside with me, Tebogo Lekhuleni, and my partner in crime, Nompumelelo Ngubeni.
And if you want to find out all things luxury, fashion, travel, and art and culture, this is exactly the place to be.
If it's hip, if it's happening, we are talking about it. We talk about what's now, what's next, and most importantly, what matters most on the African continent and the diaspora.
Do you know what time it is? Catch us every weekday on Channel Africa from 1 to 4 p.m. Central African Time.
Yeah, that's us every weekday afternoon.
Este é o Caleidoscópio de Canal África, com Remo Samo e João Yabalá.
O surto da cólera em Angola tem causado grande preocupação, afetando já mais de metade das províncias do país. Simultaneamente, a Agência dos Estados Unidos para o Desenvolvimento Internacional, USAID, um dos maiores doadores mundiais de assistência humanitária, decidiu não priorizar os países com maior incidência de malária. Para discutirmos as causas do alastramento da cólera em Angola e os impactos dessa decisão da USAID, convidamos o Dr. Jeremias Agostinho, médico e mestre em saúde pública, para partilhar a sua visão sobre o tema.
A doença, nesse momento, representa o maior risco de saúde pública que nós temos. Nos últimos anos, a nossa preocupação esteve sempre centrado com os casos de malária, os casos de tuberculose e também de infecção por VIH-Sida. A forma como, em pouco menos de 2 meses, os casos de cólera vêm aumentando, acaba por representar, nessa altura, um dos maiores desafios que o país tem. É expectável que, nesta fase, o número de casos venha a aumentar.
De segunda a sexta-feira, das 20 às 21 horas locais, este é o Caleidoscópio de Canal África.
Your afternoons just got even better. Fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
It's 10 minutes before 4 p.m. Central African Time. The legendary Oliver Mtukudzi with Ndakuvara. The last 10 minutes of the show, and while we still have time, we're going to quickly do What Caught Your Eye. I'm joined in studio by the phenomenal Nombuiselo Tango, our lovely producer. And if you have a What Caught Your Eye that you'd like to share with us on social media, at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok, and send us a voice note as well on our WhatsApp line, +2763 406 9126. Ma'am, what caught your eye?
So yesterday, South Africa was celebrating Youth Day.
Yes.
And instead of everybody celebrating like how the rest of the citizens nation was celebrating, Westbury and Eldorado Park, which are communities here in Johannesburg, in Gauteng province, the youth went and it was set ablaze, and it was because of gangsterism, right? There was a gunfight, and one of our reporters was actually interviewing one of the suspect's mom, or let me say one of the youth, the kids who was involved in this ordeal. And she was interviewed, and she said, the kids were naughty, with all of these e-hailing services. Backstory, there have been quite a number of robbery attempts for those who are riding e-hailing services, whether you're a driver or you're a passenger.
Okay.
So she says, they were doing naughty things, like the e-hailing problem. How do you say robbery? And that's what a lot of the comments were saying, that we are not looking past what has happened, but we can't just say, when someone is going through such an ordeal of a robbery, and you say, they were naughty. They were naughty. Ma'am, naughty is leaving the dishes in the sink.
No, that's punishable by going to jail. That's not go to the naughty corner. No, that's not that kind of punishment.
The time out you need is real time out, not 10 minutes.
So how many people got hurt during this?
I'm not sure. The numbers have not come out as to the total of it. But my focus was more on, when do we draw the line of mother's love?
I don't think you ever draw that line when you're a mother, when you're a parent. Listen, parents are listening in right now, mothers are listening in, and I think they would also agree with me that if your child was caught doing something that is punishable by them going to jail or whatever the case may be, you will still stand by your child no matter what it is that they have done. So we don't draw the line.
To a point that you come onto national TV to say naughty things.
When you see your child, you'll give him a proper hiding, right? You'll all that. But in public, you're not going to say that my child was wrong. You'll say, no, it's a child just being a child.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to say. You hardly draw the line when you're a parent, eh? Which can be a bit questionable. But that's your child. What are you going to do? You're going to just let them throw them in jail and rot in jail forever for something that they've done or whatever the case may be?
So when do we draw the line? Like if it's murder? Is that when we draw the line?
I don't even think at that point they would still draw the line, because that's still my child. Parents, you're more than welcome to chime in on this conversation. All right, and let us know what you think. If your child was caught doing something very bad, right, as Donald Trump says, bad things are happening. If your child is caught doing something very bad, will you still stand by your child, or will you go and hand your child over to the police yourself? What would you do?
I personally wouldn't hand over my child to the police.
You'd also protect your child?
But I wouldn't, no. I wouldn't protect, but I wouldn't hand him over.
You would let the law take its course?
I would let the law take its course.
Okay.
I would absolutely let the law take its course. But if I know that my child did something and the law does not, as in law enforcers don't know about it.
You're also not going to say anything.
I'm blind, 83% blind in one eye. But if I'm really being honest, but I wouldn't condone. I wouldn't diminish I wouldn't look down. I wouldn't make it look like it's something smaller than what it is. You have traumatized another child. My child has traumatized another child. And they have to live with that going forward. No, guys.
And the family, the parents, there's a ripple effect there. So there has to be some sort of repercussion. And so I would love to hear from the parents. +276 406 9126, or comment in the video below on our TikTok platform at Channel Africa 1. If your child was caught doing something wrong, would you stand by them, shield them, or would you hand them over and say, hey, go deal with your punishment, you've done wrong, and therefore?
And also, what is
what form of reprimand as a parent is good enough for such criminal act?
I have no idea, because you can really whip out the belt, right? But that's gonna pass in like a day or two's time after the pain has just subsided.
You take away their PlayStation, they're going to steal a PlayStation
their
from
cell
next door.
phones, exactly. You take away all these things, so it's a tough one. It's a tough one, and I think that's why I'm saying, parents, let us know what you would do. I know you said that you wouldn't.
Would you?
They must go. They must go to jail.
So you would hand your child over?
Joking. Of course not. No, I'm joking. That's my child. I don't think I would. And also, I'm not in that situation. But saying it right now, as I am not a parent, I don't think I would let my child go.
Yeah.
And deal with those consequences.
So what caught your eye, Tebogo?
Celebrity breakups.
Oh,
celebrity
apart from
another. No, apart from Donald Trump and Elon. No, not that one. Another celebrity breakup. Hungani and Stephanie Ndlovu. From Scandal, you've seen them on Scandal. You've seen them on YouTube with the Ndlovus Uncut. 6 years of marriage. They're calling it quits at the moment, and they've been living separately for quite some time now, since I think last year, October 2024, right? And they have cited that they have irreparable disintegration of their relationship is the reason for their divorce. And apparently this is a trend that's increasingly common amongst couples married over 5 years, according to a 2023 Human Sciences Research Council that study that reported a 40% rise in divorce rates due to shifting social expectations. So there goes another celebrity couple that everyone sort of looked at and said, oh yes, model couple.
Are we at fault, as in our generation? Is it at fault because we have a certain standard that we'd like to uphold?
Yeah.
Is that the reason?
I would like to think so. To an extent.
Versus the older generation.
Now we tolerate much less than what previous generations and couples would tolerate, because now we are able to vocalize and say, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like that, whereas back then couples were able to go through the most. And when you listen in on the conversations, like how did you still stay in a day and age where now you just walk away if you're uncomfortable? Anyway, we'll continue the conversation some other time. For now, Tami Ngubeni is in the building for African Business. How are you doing?
I am awesome. Once again, walking into a really exciting and interesting conversation, but we'll leave that for another day. Here's what we've got in store for you this afternoon on Africa in Business. We know that artificial intelligence is now a common feature in every strata, everywhere. So we are going to be looking at the challenges that small and medium-sized enterprises are facing as far as artificial intelligence is concerned. Also, nuclear energy. In 2013, the World Bank Board made a decision to stop funding nuclear energy power for developing countries. They've now reversed that decision. And so we'll be looking at the reasons why they've reversed that decision. And also there are 12 civil society organizations from across the African continent who are advocating for a nuclear-free Africa. So the contrast. And so we'll look at the pros and cons as far as that is concerned. And also look at Ghana. Good news for them. Ratings agency Fitch has upgraded Ghana's ratings to B- from restricted default. We'll find out why.
All right, that's all coming up with Africa in Business with Tami Ngubeni. As for me, Tebogo Lekhuleni and Nombuyiselo Tango. We'll see you tomorrow.
The noms. It's exactly 4 p.m. Central African time. Let's head over to the news desk where Noluthando Buthelezi is standing by with your latest, followed by sporting headlines with Figile Lingwati.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Top stories this hour. A fourth group of SA soldiers arrive in Bloemfontein and Palestinians killed in Gaza over aid distribution. The fourth group of South African soldiers returning from the SADC peacekeeping mission in the Democratic Republic of Congo has arrived at Bram Fisher International Airport in Bloemfontein. The soldiers are expected to begin with their demobilization program at Tembe military base in the area. Their return follows a ceasefire agreement between the M23 rebels and the DRC military. The phased withdrawal is expected to be completed by the 25th of June. South Africa lost 14 soldiers at the M23 rebels advanced on the city of Goma earlier this year. Magala Masiteng reports.
It's really an emotional part of this coming back of these officials as they come back to South Africa. Of course, this is a moment that they have been waiting to come back. We've seen with the past, the first, the second, and the